Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for your ROH and Impact post show for August 10th. Holy cow, we are in the middle of August already. We've got so much wrestling happening. We've got so much news breaking, which is why Sean is here in voice and in spirit. But we'll remind you to get into your super chats and your humper chats at humperchats.com, as well as to leave a thumbs up on this video. Helps people find us in the algorithms if you could. And I think we're like under 500 subscribers away from 100,000 subscribers. So darn it, let's get there. Let's drive the rest of the way. My Fightful anniversary is in 3 days, and it would warm my heart if we could reach 100,000 by then. And I could also take credit for it. But also going to remind you to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com because there's a ton of news breaking there. And Sean wanted to talk about a specific story that came to light on there, as well as there's so many things coming out this week. But he's here to talk about the Bray Wyatt news as promised. Hi, Sean.
Hi. Apologies for the dark room. I've sustained a concussion, and I'm going to be off the channel for a few days. But I'll be back Monday. We've got a Q&A with Jeremy and Joel on Fightful Select on Friday, and I am going to be feeding them answers for those of you that are asking questions over there. So plop down your $5. I would greatly appreciate it. We also had Ask Grapsody today, but we broke a very big story on Fightful Select, the most significant update that we've had about Bray Wyatt really since that we broke that he had been suffering from an illness. But I discovered, okay, to be honest with you, I've known about the illness and the particulars around it for a while, but I didn't feel like I was at liberty to discuss that. That's private business. And I got the go-ahead today from people close to him to disclose exactly how serious that was. It was without specifically naming what it is, because I'm sure he will in the future when he's ready. It was a very, very serious illness that left him hospitalized, and it quite frankly threatened his career and his life. And fortunately, as of now, it does not look like it will threaten either his career or his life, which is very, very good news. So I did a short podcast on Fightful Select to sort of go through the timeline, but basically we're looking at January and it's full steam ahead. You got the LA Knight feud. Eric Young had just been pitched the new Wyatt family, is what we'll be calling it for the sake of posterity. But it was going to be Bo Dallas, Bray Wyatt, Eric Young, and by the looks of it, it looked like it was going to be Alexa Bliss. There's no way around what it is that they were teasing there. Then, unfortunately, the end of February happened, and Bray Wyatt fell ill. And then a couple weeks later, Alexa Bliss hit up WWE, and she said, "Sup, I'm pregnant. Maternity leave. I'm off for the rest of the year." And they said, okay. The Bobby Lashley match got canceled. And then, a lot of people are like, okay, this is something, because you could tell in Bobby Lashley's own words, he didn't know exactly what was happening, what was going on there. Well, the week after WrestleMania, that's when the Endeavor deal got announced. And Eric Young said, "I'm not working for Vince McMahon." He asked for his release. He was granted his release. So Alexa out of action, Bray out of action, Eric Young out of the company, and we have not seen Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, used since then. Shortly after that, I was told that things were fairly serious with Bray Wyatt, and I actually started to get some of this information because people close to him were kind of upset about some less than reputable sources that were saying things like, "Oh, it's just a matter of him and WWE being creative, etc., just nailing down something." That absolutely was not the case. That had never been the case throughout that period. And there would occasionally be reports, "Oh, he's going to pop up here, he's going to pop up there." Never the case. I can tell you that I asked people very close to him probably half a dozen times. And when it comes down to health-related stuff, I don't prod too much. But I was just told it was serious. And fortunately, things are looking better. This was the first positive update I got in the last week. And I asked as recently as a month ago. I asked in early July, and that's when we had posted the update that said that he hadn't been cleared. And it took a while for that to get cleared. And as a result, he was not factored into creative. And to clarify, there were also accurate reports from Mike Johnson that I want to point out. He said that he was off internal rosters, and I was told, yeah, that's accurate, but he's still with WWE. And then I think over the last week, Mike Johnson had also reported, well, there weren't plans for him, etc. I know that we have actively reported on Select that today there are tentative plans, but at some point that changes, right? Like from one day to the next, at some point that changes. And that was relayed to me from the people that I talked to that was accurate at the time. So Mike is very reputable. It was some other sources that were saying things like Alexa would be back in May, and very clearly she had told WWE 2 months before that she was pregnant, and WWE was very, very aware of what was going on with Bray, and that was something that they were cognizant of. So the stuff that Mike reported was absolutely accurate, but I've been told that at least tentatively, as of now, there I wouldn't say creative plans, but the idea that he could be coming back as soon as September. Now, I want to say it is not a guarantee that he comes back in September. He's got to get cleared first. However, at this point, they think that it is much more of a likelihood that he gets cleared. And I should state this, people close to him, people that know Bray, they also know the type of buzz that is kicked up whenever rumors of him returning come about. I mean, that's part of the experience, right? When Bray's coming back, you get the teases and the trailers and the QR codes and I don't know, the toys in the cereal boxes, any damn thing they can think of. So they're very smart. They know that type of stuff too. But ultimately, it came down to Bray being okay physically. And I mean, I heard from one of his friends, it was like, hey, just making sure that you got the approval for this. And I said, yeah, of course. I would never talk about something like this without getting the appropriate approval and things like that. But the good news is Bray seems to be on the mend and nearing a return. Who knows what the next several weeks will hold, but hopefully it is good things. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, this is something that's obviously a lot bigger than wrestling, right? When there's a story like this in play. And there's a few things with Bray that kind of make it a little bit more complicated, I feel like. One being that this is an illness, not an injury, right? So you can't say like he broke his femur, you get X to however many weeks. And the other thing is Bray isn't someone who enters the wrestling world in a way where he's a workhorse champion or anything like that. He's someone that doesn't necessarily need to wrestle as often. So the idea of him popping up doesn't automatically mean I'm wrestling again immediately. So I think there's a lot more temptation around things when the circumstances are what they are. But always appreciate your efforts, Sean, in making sure that these things are handled appropriately. Yes. And credit to Mike Johnson for the way that he handled things too. But this is certainly something when people's careers and lives are at risk that is bigger than wrestling. So I'm glad you were able to come on here and to clarify. If anybody has any questions in the chat, feel free to send in a super chat or a humper chat about it. But we are not here to speculate on health any further than kind of what Sean said. So just if you're gonna save your money, don't be like, was it this? Was it that?
Yeah, people that were in my replies saying, yeah, we need details. We need to know what happened. Well, that's up to Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt can or cannot he can disclose that on his own. Mia Yim has talked about this publicly. Like when I found out about the Keith Lee thing, like that's not for me to break. Like I'm not going to break news of somebody's illness or pregnancy or something like that. An in-ring injury or something like that's a little bit different, but I've got no desire to break that type of information. And I believe that not everything is everybody's business. You could argue that literally nothing that I report is anybody's business, but fortunately I decide where we kind of draw the line there. And that's where I want to draw the line. And that's what I'm particularly protective over, because ultimately I do want the talent and the companies that we cover to know that, if it's physical or sexual or criminal in nature, it's something we're going to cover. But when it comes to this stuff, they deserve their privacy and they deserve to live a normal life. And I'm just glad that Bray is supposedly on the mend. And to your point, Kate, when you said Bray, a lot of his stuff is outside the ring, that's what made me like look into that and be like, okay, there's got to be something particularly wrong, because my God, they had him on TV for like 3 months before he wrestled. So like, what's another 3 months, right?
Yeah, and I think that's part of, because the creative going into that Mania stretch didn't feel great when things were on track, and then you throw all of this on top of it with the uncertainty around it, kind of gets even cloudier. Like that Bobby Lashley storyline, unfortunately, just it was like a little weird to start and then got completely derailed. So I get why people were like, where did he go? And all these things, and you could only disclose so much. But glad that he could be on his way back. He's certainly a force in wrestling, mind-wise and creatively. So whatever he's able to contribute when he's able to contribute, that'll be a very, very welcome back thing, and a shot in the arm for the product for sure too.
And to tease a little bit of select stuff, because of course, even though I'm going to be out the next couple days, we still got select stuff. How about some more return news? How about some out of left field that ain't nobody talking about, but they will be talking about it very, very soon? Fightful Select. Just depends on when I drop it. Probably tomorrow or Saturday, I'm thinking. And Matthew Plus says, SRS, why should I pay for AEW Dark Elevation 2.0? You don't have to, because Kate and SP3 are about to review it for you. And that is our business model, is that quite literally people who don't watch it can watch this. And if you do watch it, this is the only place you're going to find anybody talking about it. This and Impact Wrestling. So there you go. In fact, when I got a little static from Impact Wrestling, I had somebody in the company, a higher up, go to them and say, guess who covers our show? One outlet, Fightful. So I greatly appreciate that. Guys, thanks for letting me sneak on a little bit. Guys, please check out Fightful Select. We're going to have Joel, who is going to be here for Impact. He and Jeremy are going to be answering your questions. And I'll tell you this, they have a lot more insight than the average Bears, even though you know what, Joel's somewhat average. I'll give him that, but that's why I'm going to be.
I don't think Bears know a lot about Impact Wrestling, so I'll just start with that. Like, I don't think many like polar bears just walking around talking about like Jake something's return, and but.
Well, I will be feeding them some answers as well for the Q&A, so there's going to be some scoops in there as well. But thank you all so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Sean. Feel better.
Feel better,
Thanks,
Sean.
Guys.
Stuff like this makes me really proud to work for that guy, I gotta say. Not only coming out here when he has his own concussion, but the way that he handles stories like that. And that's something that's important to me as someone who works at a brand. So very thankful for his coverage of it. Very thankful for people like Mike Johnson. Disgusted by a lot of other people in the space that handled it the way that they did. But here at Fightful, we got you covered in the best way that we possibly can. And we've got you covered for the ROH post show, which we will swing into right now. Gotta say, SP3, I'm excited to talk about this with you. You're an ROH guy. I'm an ROH gal. Reg couldn't be here because he's a West Coast Pro guy tonight. But I'm very happy to have you on this episode, because I feel like the past couple weeks we're back on the upswing. Like I felt like things were really falling apart for like 4 to 6 weeks before the pay-per-view or so. Really, really feels like we are kind of slowly working our way back toward the Ring of Honor that we know and love, SP3.
It feels like stories are actually happening, where me and Kate would be on Twitter tweeting each other like the only story going on is Dark Order and Righteous. And now that is done. We have new stories. We got Maria recruiting people. We got Athena, who's looking for challengers and kind of pinpointing challengers at the same time, kind of showing that she's not like really that heelish and kind of more in a tweener who can verse anybody on the women's roster, which means that this title run can go longer, which I am all for. You got all these things going on. The tag team division is getting deeper. So yeah, I'm really liking what Ring of Honor has done in the last couple of weeks.
Me, you, and Mike McVaney alone. We got him chiming in with a generous chat here saying it was a really good show tonight. Can't wait to see where the Maria stuff goes, as you were just saying. And glad to see Billie get a win. P.S. Joe and Shame is going to hump. Yeah, we're going to get to that. I'm very excited for that.
Yes.
But some more love of other people feeling like this is back on track. Chris saying maybe Tony's trying to put effort back into the ROH stuff. And again, Wombat and Combat, I hope that you're safe right in this moment. Saying, I thought ROH was really good tonight. I do too. And a couple of other things that I appreciated was the caliber of talent that we got. We had Rachel Ellering coming in. That felt like a big deal. We had Rhett Titus being back in this brand that he's so synonymous with. So just kind of refreshing to see who got mixed up in tonight's episode as well. But we are going to dive into it, guys. Get in your super chats and your humper chats and leave a thumbs up on this video right now. I know Sean always pops a rating, so you might have missed my spiel at the beginning of the show. He recapped the Bray Wyatt stuff that was posted on Select, and we do urge you to subscribe to Fightful Select for the full details on that. And so much more coming out this week. There's a returning talent from, I can't even say injury. It's been a long time since this person was back in the ring, and that's going to drop either tomorrow or Saturday. You had so much news coming out of SummerSlam as well about Cody and Brock, about Becky and Trish and the reason they weren't on the card. Not a very good one in my opinion, but so much more. And we've, of course, got All In around the corner. So plenty to talk about on Fightful Select. And again, Sean's got his concussion, so he's going to be away for a little bit. But that's not going to stop the flow of news. He's just not going to be having as much screen time. That's why we've got you covered. So let's dive into tonight's episode. We've kick it off with Dalton Castle and Slim J. Now, I don't have a lot of complaints about this episode. I thought it was really strong, but one of my complaints is we got to let these matches pop off when we've got this good of an in-ring roster. We had a lot of like 4-minute, 6-minute, 7-minute matches. I would rather have fewer matches for longer lengths of time, but they are trying to build divisions and stories. So that's kind of me saying, have my cake and eat it too. But this was a quick match to get us started. Dalton Castle, of course, comes out feeding his baby chickens. This guy is just more charisma than we deserve in one single performer. But he's out there with the baby chicks, and they defeat Slim J. Castle got some nice double leg takedowns in here that looked really, really good, and a bangerang for the pinfall. He's your future Emmy winner. He's Dalton Castle. I love this guy. He's just such an incredible performer. And I gotta say, when you go there live, it's a really big pop for him always, but with this kind of choppy taping schedule where you do an hour before Collision and an hour after, he's such a breath of fresh air because it's just like the second his theme hits, everybody's into it. You wake back up in the crowd. Really, really good stuff. But SP3, what did you think of this match to kick us off?
And he just brings so much energy. Dalton Castle is just so good, and he just leaves an impression. Especially if you're like a new fan coming to, a taping of Collision and you only know AEW and you're getting on ROH, even if you've never seen Dalton Castle before, you're gonna enjoy him or be interested by him. So yeah, like you said, his charisma just jumps off the screen. And I also agree with you. This match was way too short because these guys, this is like the perfect opponent for Dalton, where he's not just all charisma. He can kind of show off his wrestling ability, where he has the suplexes, he has the amateur background, he can do more of like the groundwork and submission work. He can do all of that. And when he's versing someone who's very kind of much a smaller guy and more athletic, who can bump around for him like Slim J, I want to see kind of like maybe a 7-8 minute match. I'm not even trying to eat that much cake. I just want a little bit more of a slice. I want a standard slice, not a slim slice, not a Slim J slice. But yeah, I thought this was a good opener. Like you said, Dalton just brings the energy to the crowd, and it's very much a difference, between the matches that are taped before Collision and after Collision, because the crowd is a lot more vocal and you don't see as many of the empty seats, which is still like an eyesore on me. That's my only complaint about the show, really.
Sure, and that is tricky to balance too, because similar to how Dynamite feels live, in my experience, Collision is also 2 hours with your foot on the gas. Like, there is not like a lot of downtime. So I feel like pretty much every episode of Collision has had one match too where you're like, holy shit, I need a cigarette after that. Like, it's so good. So those ebbs and flows are kind of tricky to navigate. So I'm with you. There's definitely a shift in energy, but feeling Dreepy chiming in with something that I also thought, which I appreciated, that man, Slim J goes from having no screen time to a battle royal named after him on Sunday to losing to Dalton Castle in the first match of ROH. Honestly, that's progress. This show was really solid. Real matches that had a lot of stories being built, almost worth all the $10. This has felt like a completely refocused product over the past couple weeks, and I love to see it. Have you felt that way too? It almost feels like they kind of flipped a switch. It hasn't even been that gradual. It was just all those simple changes that we were asking for.
Yeah, I want to see more of it, but I think like you said, they're just building out divisions. They're making people kind of have a story, and they're kind of fleshing out other people. Like we're going to talk about, people on the other card that don't exactly have a story, but you can see that they're kind of evolving before our eyes, like the Infiltrate. So they're doing stuff with people that, they don't have a feud or kind of a concentrated story for. It's that we're evolving. They're picking up wins. So we're seeing that from even the lower card. So it feels like it's kind of from the bottom up that they're doing, where the only thing that's kind of glaring that they haven't done anything for is the ROH World Championship, where I kind of feel like we're going back to like, for longer ROH fans, Nigel McGuinness, the final 3 months of his reign back in 2009, where he beat Bryan Danielson and ended that feud, which was the main feud of his storyline. And then it was like 3-4 months before he lost the title to Jerry Lynn. So they were just throwing Pro Wrestling Noah people. He versed Kenta during that time, Naramichi Marufuji. So we already had Death Before Dishonor with Pac, and it feels like with Claudio and the ROH World Championship, we're kind of in the Jade Cargill TBS title, wait for Chris Statlander, where they're waiting for Eddie to come back from Japan.
Definitely. And I have a little bit of wiggle room up to an extent, because they also tried to build out something with Mark Briscoe, right? And then he had the injury. I do feel like, hey, it's your world champion. You should probably do something with that guy. But I also get it. You had this long-term story. I can't even call it long-term. It was decades long. If you go back to the origins of this thing with Eddie Kingston, clearly there was some sort of plan in place. You and I'm sure we'll talk about Eddie Kingston's G1 at some point, because I thought it was so perfect and wonderful.
Can we just quickly have a quick prayer that we can get Eddie versus Claudio at Grand Slam for the ROH World Championship? I just thought about that. I'll be there. I'll be there for Grand Slam. Can we get that? Because I think that people had their expectations too high, saying Eddie and MJF. I think it's a little bit more reasonable to ask for Eddie and Claudio, and Eddie wins the World Championship in New York.
So I'm going to have to issue several retractions, because I am constantly complaining about them not defending it on the ROH product. But come on, that moment would be so big, though. That feels so right. It feels so right to do that. I'm with you on that, SP3. I love that. And of course, we saw he gets to wrestle his hero Kawada at Starkz, which is just like all the feels. So happy for Eddie Kingston. He's going to come back. He's come back from Japan. He's going to win the big one finally. He's going to beat Claudio. He's going to finally hold a title under this umbrella. I'm convinced of it. And if not, I'm going to complain about it on the internet. How about that?
They want to make it bigger? Title for title. Strong openweight champion versus ROH world champion. If people going to be like, oh, you're putting ROH on the AEW show again, it's a title versus title. It's interpromotional. You got two different promotion title on a different promotions show. Perfect.
Well, here I also feel like I'm okay with people defending their titles on AEW. I think that makes sense. You're trying to drive people to a paywalled product that is your developmental. It makes sense to do that. It doesn't make sense to only do that.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense to exclusively defend certain ROH titles on AEW and have them not carry over into anything. Love what they're doing with MJF and Cole. We got to chat about that, and we're going to talk about that. But not before we talk about my boys, the Iron Savages, defeating Lucky Ali, who's a talent. I believe that works mostly the Southern circuits on the independent scene, and Brady Pierce. Lucky Ali's great. I've seen him, I think, twice in ROH and been really impressed both times, but this was all the Iron Savages, and I love that they're finally getting some love and attention. I've been singing their praises for a long time, but another quick match. This ran about 3:15, but you get Boulder dropping Bronson from his shoulders onto Ali for the pinfall. Seems like as they've kind of reinvigorated their characters, they're still doing a lot of the big boy stuff, of course, but they're also kind of throwing in some more playful tandem offense like this finish. And I thought this was a lot of fun for a squash. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm liking what the Iron Savages have been able to do, kind of making this whole kind of meathead character kind of work for them. And I kind of compare them to kind of a mixture of Heavy Machinery and War Machine, not the Viking Raiders. War Machine and Heavy Machinery kind of in one with the Iron Savages. So I'm liking them, and I think if they continue with the wins, they can be something in this tag team division.
That's a really great comparison, and I feel like there's a lot of fun feuds that are awaiting them. Like they always make whoever they're working with look really great. The talent I know that have worked them have said like they're a dream to work with, which is always awesome to hear. And I think they're a bunch of fun. So very happy to see them starting to get a little momentum behind them. I think that's a whole bunch of fun. And I also love getting a little outlandish on my screen, SP3. Outlandish. Zicky Dice. Look, we stole Zicky from the Impact piece of this post show, and we brought him over to ROH, okay? Joel and Cresta now have to live in a world where they don't get to talk about Zicky Dice. We get to talk about Zicky Dice. I'm happy about it, but this was a fun match, and I was really happy to see Zicky pop up here. I think the world of this guy. I feel like Impact really dropped the ball on him because I felt like he was kind of tailor-made for an environment with Impact. Like, he's that perfect blend of, hey, I'm really damn good in the ring, but boy, I can do anything you throw at me character-wise. Serious. He put out this, like, it felt like a horror movie I was watching on his social media. He's hysterical. He's got a great look. He stands out on any roster he's in. And right before he signed with Impact, he was in an MLW Battle Royal and got a huge pop. Very happy to see him show up on Ring of Honor. Also really glad to see him showing up somewhere else. Like, that just makes me happy that he's riding that momentum. But he is on the losing end here with Movie Mike, M-Y-K-E, I think, Mike. But we get Dean catching him with a spinning DDT, and then a huge boot into a Russian leg sweep to finish Mike off. I love this finishing sequence. They've kind of pulled this out a couple times now, and I really, really like how fluid everything looks. And I also, man, I just love the infantry. I really, really love what this has grown into. Thought they were a great tag team. Adding Trish Adora into the fold just adds this whole other like awesome element to it. So much cohesion. They look great. They've really started to add a little bit more depth with some backstage stories. We saw a lot of Athena tonight. We saw a lot of Maria tonight. The infantry is kind of getting that too. We saw that those interactions with Stokely Hathaway. We're seeing them dance backstage and have some fun. I love to see it. This is really, really good. And I think if you can have these guys in the middle upper card of your tag programs, I think it's going to do wonders, because I think Trish Adora is definitely a future ROH Women's Champion. I don't know if the rest of the infantry becomes ROH tag champions, probably if they do in a more transitional way, but they feel important. They feel like a force on the show, and that's all I'm asking for out of this. So between that and getting outlandish, I'm a happy camper. What did you think?
This is all good. All good on both sides of this. Ziggy Dice, he's so charismatic. So glad to see him on the show. And he's very underrated in the ring as well. And he showed a little bit of that in the matchup. As far as the infantry, I 100% agree with you. I think that they're putting it all together. They feel like kind of like a main roster act that got brought to NXT, and they're reforming their whole gimmick to come back to AEW. Like, that's how it feels. Like that's what's going on. Like, putting Trish Adora with them, coming up with the finisher, with the cool finisher name Boot Camp that fits in with their whole gimmick. They're getting the crowd behind them in small ways as well. So I like how they're pulling it all together. But you're saying they could be like a lower upper card, middle card team. They could be the ROH World Champions if all MJF right. and Adam Cole win, because MJF can't beat Shawn D. Beat him.
You took the words out of my mouth. Okay, who's got the winningest record against MJF probably in all of AEW? It's the Captain Sean Dean. All right. I am quite frankly stunned. I am startled that MJF agreed to sniff anywhere around ROH while Sean Dean is there, much less in the same division. Okay. MJF's duck and wrestle pro shows when Sean Dean is in my backyard. Like, he has avoided the ROH product entirely just because of Sean Dean. You can't convince me it's any other reason whatsoever. I am frankly shocked. Everybody's like, oh, the Kingdom's going to interfere to advance the Roddy stuff. No. If anybody's costing MJF wins, it's Sean Dean. So I'm looking for the infantry at Wembley on the 0 hour.
They're going to cash in.
They're going to cash in.
They're right after MJF and Adam Cole win. He's like,
I love
it.
God,
not this guy again.
Oh my God. Better than who, baby? Not the infantry. I'll tell you that much. All right. Not today. But let's talk about this Adam Cole and MJF storyline for a minute. I love it. We got Chris asking, what do we think of Max and Cole winning the ROH tag titles? This is something that I think is a really interesting and smart way to keep the momentum of MJF and Adam Cole going. And also a really unique storytelling device that we don't see a lot, where something on the 0 hour is probably going to affect something that happens literally later in the card at the biggest wrestling show in history. I'm not counting WCW North Korea. That was its own thing. Okay. We're calling this the biggest card for at least my criteria for it. So I just love the idea of kind of bookending a show with something that is probably not going to be the longest match in the world. I don't think we're going to get a tag classic because they have to wrestle later the same night. And I think this is going to be used to advance a story. I think it's going to be awesome. Saucy Open's great, and so are MJF and Adam Cole. But what are your thoughts on them coming into the ROH tag fold? I think it's a great way to get some eyes on the product after this.
I think that it kind of fits kind of multiple different facets. Like you said, like it's promoting the ROH product and putting eyes on it by putting it on their biggest show of all time, in front of that 80,000, fans in Wembley Stadium. So it puts them on a big platform. Makes a lot of sense having Aussie Open there because they're Aussie Open, but they were born and bred in the UK. Like they made their name in the UK, United Empire all day. Like that's their territory. So makes sense to put them on the card. But most of all, it feels like AEW is basically saying, this is our answer to the bloodline. This is our storyline. This is the storyline we are putting the promotion under. This is the storyline that we are giving the main event of our biggest show ever. We're not only giving the main event of our biggest show ever, we're putting them on the pre-show to start off and get the late buys for us as well. Like, we are just making this the front line and center. And you also saw that last night on Dynamite, where like a half an hour to maybe 40 minutes was dedicated to MJF and Adam Cole. And it was great television every single time. So
Cinema,
it just makes sense. One would say. We don't say that word around these parts, but one would say.
Reg isn't here. I'm getting my cinema punches in while I can, but I agree with you. I like the comparison to the Bloodline.
Cinema.
Oh my God, taking out kids. Fantastic stuff. Fantastic stuff with this. I'm all for this. I think this is great. And I think there's delicate ways to do things like incorporate AEW talent into ROH programming in a one-off or a short-term program. And then there's also things that we'll probably be seeing of, look, they've got nothing on the AEW main roster for a while. Why not take these seasoned veterans and go have them work with this younger talent? So I'm just glad it feels like there's some plans in place. And I got to say, from the AEW umbrella overall, I felt like last week was one of the most cohesive weeks that they had in a really long time. Things on Rampage and Collision affected Dynamite and ROH. We saw so much happen with Diamante on ROH, and that immediately get paid off on Collision. We saw the women's wrestling picture that was unfolding on Rampage immediately come into play on Dynamite. So just a really, really nice pull back to the higher view of what is going on heading into the biggest wrestling show ever. And how are we making it work across all four brands of wrestling? That's not an easy thing to do, but they really had a strong week this past week, I feel like. So good stuff happening and more great stuff happening with Lee Moriarty and the giant Andrew Everett, who's 7'4". He might have got thrown in the dryer and shrunk a little bit, but he's 7'4" as far as we are concerned. A fun little match here. If you're not familiar with Andrew Everett, You should be. He's great. He was formerly in ROH. He tagged with Griff Garrison for a while. He's been working the indies and bouncing all around, but he's a whole bunch of fun. And similarly, has to Zicky Dice. He's got kind of like a fun character, a fun gimmick here, but also a really great wrestler. I loved the finish of this. Everett kind of taking this airplane spin into the Border City stretch. There were some fun corner spots here, but Lee Moriarty picking up the W. Lee standing all on his own. He doesn't have Big Bill. He doesn't need Big Bill. And considering you got Lee Moriarty against Andrew Everett, you would think, like, if ever there was a match that Lee Moriarty would need an equalizer like Big Bill, it's going to be against the 7'4" giant Andrew Everett. But he got it done tonight. Your thoughts on this match?
Former Impact World Tag Team Champion Andrew Everett. But let's be serious with the people here, just in case they didn't watch Ring of Honor. Andrew Everett is obviously not 7'4", ladies and gentlemen.
What?
Like most guys, he's embellishing by 4 inches. He's at least 7 feet tall.
Yeah, I think he's 7'1".
Yeah, he's like 7.
7'4" with boots on, right? Yeah.
They told me the Giant was 7'4", and then he turned to 7 feet when he came to WWE. They told me Undertaker was 7 foot tall, and then he was short next to Big Show. Like, yeah, they always lie about the height. So, and Allen Iverson was 6 feet tall. When I stood next to him, he was my height. I'm 5'8" or something like. Yeah. So yeah, Andrew Everett is 7 feet tall, ladies and gentlemen. But I thought this match was really, really good. These guys, this is another match I wish got more time for like 4 or 5 minutes. It was really, really good. But if it got more time, it would be more a memorable matchup and maybe even impress some people with Andrew Everett, who's very talented for what he does, has a fun gimmick, like you said, and can get over with the crowd because of his athleticism. So showed a little bit of that here, but I wanted to see more, but good for what it was.
I agree. We're about to swing into a match that probably could have been one of those things that could have gotten sacrificed to give some other matches on this card, the breathing room that they needed. But we're going to ask you to get in your super chats and your humper chats, and also stay tuned for the Impact post show, which comes up usually between 10:05 and 10:10 at the top of the next hour. The beginning of this stream had Sean reviewing some of the stuff that was going on with Bray Wyatt. So if that's what you came here looking for, you can find that at the very beginning of the video. So much more happening on FightfulSelect.com this week. Oh, man, we're going to ask you to leave a thumbs up on this video. We're going to ask you to subscribe so we can get to 100,000 subscribers. We ask a lot of you guys, but you always show up in droves, and we really, really appreciate it. It's been really fun to do this ROH post show the past couple weeks because it was getting a little dodgy. It felt like we were just reviewing a collection of really good matches, but we feel back on track, so I'm excited to have the enthusiasm heading into things. I got SP3 filling in for Reg, so very happy day here in ROH land. But stay tuned because Impact had a heck of a show as well, it looks like. We got Greg Cherry saying, hi, two lovely people. Insert 69 joke here. Nice. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never made a 69 joke in my life.
Hey, can we talk about the fact that before today, Tetsuya Naito had 69 wins in the G1 Climax tournament. In the G1 Climax tournament. That was a line said on commentary today.
Had climaxed at 69. My goodness. Naito. See, now I know it's his to win. I thought it was going to be his to win anyway. But, like, come on. That's kismet, right? I love it.
Come on. We all know it's Naito's year.
It's Naito's year. And we just got confirmation that that's the case. Because I got to tell you, man, it can't be Evil's year. It can't. It can't.
Oh, God, please.
What is happening in that block?
Blame Sanal, my co-host over at Ace Techers New Japan podcast on wrestling. She said Evil would beat Shingo, and now he's going to beat the world champion. It's all Sanal's fault.
I can't even argue because there is a story there and it makes wrestling sense, but it's got to stop. We got to stop it here.
Yes.
We're cutting it off.
Because I have the fear of God that I'm going to wake up Sunday morning and Evil is going to beat Kazuchika Okada. The guy that has only been beaten 3 times, Kate, by Sonata, Bryan Danielson, and Will Ospreay this year. I do not need to add Evil in that illustrious list of names.
SP3, I will not be well if that happens. I will not be well. But something that is working well is Tony Nese. I'm kind of digging this this personal trainer gimmick, and it feels like maybe they're splitting him off from Josh Woods, which is also something at this point I'm in favor of. Earlier in the night, we get Tony Nese and Smart Mark declining the opportunity to wrestle Pat Buck. He says he's going to hold an obesity intervention because Waffle House is what was recommended to him as the health food store. That immediately gets a crowd going into a chant. If you know anything about Cassidy Haynes, stay away from Waffle House. But we got Pat Buck here. This was honestly, and I like Pat Buck a lot, and the match was not bad. You have a very bloated AEW and ROH roster. I'm not sure why Pat Buck's getting like in-ring reps, but all right. He sets up a powerbomb, but Nese transitions into a really nice cradle for the near fall on this. Nese getting the running knee and the corner for the pinfall. I just felt like this didn't really need to happen tonight. There was so much good wrestling that I felt like got cut short. There weren't any problems with this per se. I'm just looking at a kind of loaded card here and saying that felt a little superfluous. Like I didn't need that here, but nothing wrong with the match that we got per se. Any thoughts here?
100% agree with everything you just said. It wasn't needed on this show, especially because it's two New York guys. And you know, we're both from the East Coast, Kate. If you're going to do that match, you do it in Long Island or something like that. You don't do it in South Carolina. What are we even doing? But there's no reason to do it then.
You do it at WrestlePro, 20 minutes from where I live.
You do it at WrestlePro. But you do it on like a Long Island, a collision tape for ROH. You can do it then. But here, was it really needed? No. But I'm glad Tony Nese picked up a win. If Pat Buck's just here to job to people who are kind of on the undercard who need wins, so they are credible people for the upper card to beat, then I'm fine with it. But yeah.
Agreed. We have some people in the chat saying like Pat Buck looked good in the ring and he was over. I'm not arguing any of that. I'm just saying, where's Sunny Kiss? You know what I mean? Or where's Eli Isom or those kinds of things? Now Pat Buck travels with the company, so he could have been a guy that was in the locker room that had gear that they needed to come out and eat in pinfall. I understand that. But I wasn't like, yeah, okay. Like in an episode where there was like a lot of, yeah, okay. And a lot of, I would have rather have seen another 5 minutes of Dalton Castle and Slim J, for example. So that's just kind of where I'm at. But picking nits on an episode that was mostly very positive tonight. This, again, nothing wrong with this, but nothing where I was like, oh, this kicked ass. But I'll tell you what did elicit that reaction for me tonight. Oh my gosh. I think you skipped a match in our breakdown.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
Did you skip over the Workhorseman or is that later?
Maybe. No, I think the Workhorseman wasn't that later.
That was. I think we got a vignette. We got a vignette here.
Yeah, that was the interview. Yeah.
So we get a quick interview here. They are angling for a 6-man title shot, which is great. Who is going to be their partner? I'm intrigued to find out. But let's dive into. He just put F word, Gates of Agony in the Workhorseman segment. And we also do get the match on the back of this. But we will talk about Athena and Rachel Ellering first, because that's what the chat is always lighting up about. Doc Mueller, the other technical wizard that is not Zack Sabre Jr., who had an awesome match with Okada. I knew I would bring it up because SB3 was here, and we are both on this ZSJ run. It was so good.
Excellent. I can tell it. Like I told my friend, I watched it with my friend right before I watched Ring of Honor, and I was like, I could explain this to a 6-year-old. Guy does signature moves. Guy reverses it into submissions. That's the match. That's all the match really was. All of Okada's signature stuff. Zack Sabre Jr. transitioned it into submissions.
It was the best. I also went back and watched it right before ROH. I loved it. But our other technical wizard, Doc Mueller, who, if you have any issues with your Bleacher Report app, especially with All In and All Out coming up, he's the guy to hit up. BR_doctor on Twitter. He'll fix everything for you. And if you message him now, he can preemptively guarantee that your Bleacher Report app is going to work. But he chimes in here to say, weekly Athena rules message. Jester Design saying, honestly, I thought I wouldn't mind Athena going after the TV title or dragging someone along to take tag titles. There is this feeling I think a lot of people are having where they're having a bit of a Sophie's choice, because it feels like Athena should never lose her title or a match again, but it also feels like she might be outgrowing her position here in ROH. You kind of can't contain this to a developmental-ish paywalled program anymore. I feel like it's time to unleash her in the AEW women's division in wrestling. It's one of my favorite title reigns in wrestling. We just talked Zack Sabre Jr. Athena's my other one. And Orange Cassidy and Gunther also right there. It is the year of the workhorse titles. I am in on those. But Athena especially, God, she just feels so different than anything else they have going in the AEW roster, kind of in all of wrestling. She has this very specific lane that is so unique to her as a heel that I am just in love with. And I also thought this match with Rachel Ellering was great. This was the best I've seen Rachel Ellering look in a while too. Really, really good chemistry tonight, in my opinion. Athena hitting the O face for the win. I really liked the spot where Ellering got out of the cravat and started to get this comeback going right before the pinfall. She hits a boot. She's got a spinning elbow and a sling blade in there. She hits the black hole sun for the near fall. But Athena, being the champion that she is, gets out of this. This one was a 7-minute match. This is another one I could have seen go 10, but this I thought was fantastic. It also felt important, and it wasn't just like local talent gets squashed in a proving ground match by Athena. Rachel Ellering has some notoriety here. This was a really nice change of pace. Your thoughts on what you see next for Athena? Do you feel like her title reign is ending soon? And what did we think of what we got tonight?
Really like the match with Rachel Ellering. I think Rachel Ellering's probably one of the more talented female wrestlers out there that is unsigned. And I would love to see her kind of a place, not only just sign her, but kind of like invest in her and get behind her. Because, you know, she had her time in Impact Wrestling, but I didn't really think they got behind her like they could have. But glad to see her get this opportunity here. I like the fact that she kind of pushed the time limit for the Proving Ground matchup against Athena, and they worked well with one another. And Athena, man, just the best thing on Ring of Honor television, the best thing in wrestling, the best women's wrestler in North America right now. I say it kind of apprehensively because not a lot of people are you know, watching Ring of Honor, but if you are watching, you know what's going on. You should be aware if you aren't.
My thought on that is, if you tell me that it's Shida, I can't argue with you on that. But if you tell me it's Athena, I also can't argue with you on that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong about that take. I think you can throw other names in the mix, but this Athena run has been so productive. And I think we're starting to see, I don't want to say the air let out of the balloon because that sounds negative, but we're starting to see the payoff of everything they've invested in her come to light. We saw it with Diamante last week, where it was like someone was kind of gaining on her. She still got to win, but there's someone that feels like real deal competition now. Rachel Ellering, an impressive name coming in here. We're going to talk about legit Leyla in a second. I think she's a candidate. My God, Trisha Dora, I could see dethroning her. There's a lot of ways they could go with this. You could also bring in Naomi or Mercedes or whatever. So I think we're starting to see the fruits of the labor that she's been sowing start to come to life a little bit, where it feels like, as much fun as it is watching her just rip through porcelain trash hussies, it is also really nice to see her in the ring with someone like Rachel Ellering. To your point, she was done with her Impact Knockouts run, I think a couple months ago at this point. Never really fully clicked. I think there's something inherently at odds about her style and the bubbliness of her personality that they never quite unlocked. And that's tough. That's like a thing where it works really, really, really well when it does lock in. To have, like, Willow's a great example. Like, so magnetic, so much fun, but like, she'll kick your ass. That's not always an easy thing to figure out how to present to people. So I hope she finds her footing somewhere like that. We saw tonight. I think this was a better kind of effort, and facing someone like Athena is a really good way to pull that out of you. So good stuff there.
I think the main reason why I think Athena is like the best women's wrestler, because like you said, Shida is just as good in the ring, but Athena is like the total package. Like, she's got the character work down pat right now, where she just has that kind of like boss feeling and like the final boss kind of aura to her, and she's building that, and it kind of feels akin where she started off as this heel, and as this title reign is coming along and she's being so dominant and beating challenger after challenger, you're starting to hear the crowds kind of get behind her. And that's why I like what happened later on in the night, which we're going to get into, because it reminded me a little bit of Kevin Steen's ROH World Championship run, where he was the main heel, but the more people he beat, the more the fans were just like, no, we love this guy. We remember we love this guy. And I think that's what's happening with Athena right now.
I agree. And there's also, when you're that in control of the character aspect of what you do and the way that she is, everything feels so intentional. And that's what I loved with Diamante last week. Like, she didn't beat Diamante down after. That was a big deal. And then to give her props backstage, it's like, oh, that means something, because she has been so dominant. And she was talking about Diamante finding a missing piece. And she kind of came in and had a missing piece and found it. Like, all of these things, when you are that clued into who you are as a wrestler, really, really, really start to pay off. And we are seeing some awesome stuff in that regard. Let's talk about the Athena promo that we got as well. This was really, really well done. She starts going off about how she's everyone's champion. She's the trios champion. This is her program. She can't believe that someone would even question whether or not she's the MVP. I loved this because it was a lot of what we've been saying collectively, right? Like, where are those other champions? Athena's there week in and week out. So she is all those champions, and she is the MVP of this brand. Really liked what we got from this today. And we also see her with Billie Starkz in this a little bit later. We're going to talk about it. But I really liked that they have started to reward and expand the roles of things that are working. Maria Kanellis, for example, it feels like the Kingdom's been there. Feels like they were the tag champions this whole time, to be honest. Athena is working. They've expanded those things. Samoa Joe is working. They are going to put him in the ring with a legend like Stokely Hathaway, known for his in-ring prowess. So I'm looking forward to that. And I like that they're diving deeper with the things that are kind of clicking in here. Good stuff.
I love the chemistry with Lexi and Athena. It's cool.
So good.
It's so good.
So good. It's like Lexi walks this line of like, hello, I am a professional and I am scared shitless and I am here talking to you. And Athena just eats it up. Really, really good stuff.
It reminds me of The Rock and Michael Cole, when Michael Cole used to be a backstage interviewer.
That is a really good comparison. I really, really like that, because there's just like this, I'm intimidated, but I'm here to work kind of air, which I love. So now we get into the match that I was referencing before. We get into the Workhorsemen, and they're confronted by Prince Nana, as we were talking about a little bit earlier with the 6-man shot. We get the Gates of Agony defeating Anthony Henry and JD Drake here. I liked a lot of this match. I've been singing the praises of the Workhorsemen for a while. Henry missing a moonsault off the middle ropes here, and Loa and Khan planting him face first into the mat for the pinfall. I really liked this match. I like that they acknowledged, like, hey, they're 6-man champions, but they're here as a tag team. I've been asking them to resolve that for a really long time. I am at the point where I feel like they owe me FTR versus the Workhorsemen. They owe it to me to make me feel like I am in mid-80s NWA watching tag team wrestling. That is the vibe I get from all of this. Anthony Henry especially, and JD Drake is great too. I've been singing his praises for a long time. He's such a difference maker in matches. I love how his opponent can get all this momentum and he's like, well, no, I'm going to chop you. And all of that's going to come to a screeching halt because I'm a big boy and I'm here to kick your ass. But Anthony Henry tonight, I felt like showed out at an entirely different level. Some of the corner spots, he just knows how to work a big guy without making himself look like a pathetic little guy. Like, he looks really, really strong, but he knows how to sell the hell out of working with bigger dudes like this. Absolutely adored this. This one did get time. I really, really, really like the Workhorsemen. And I like that the two tag teams I've been complaining about on the internet, the Workhorsemen and the Iron Savages, getting to show off what they do best. This was really fun. What did you think?
I enjoyed this. I thought it was a little bit clunky towards like the end. It just felt like there was like kind of like a mistiming. I think it started with JD's comeback when he tried to do like a DDT combo on both guys, and Khan didn't go down, and then I think like the pin cover by Anthony Henry, where it kind of looked like he pushed Khan towards the rope. I know it was supposed to be Khan went to the rope at the end, but it looked like he pushed him to the rope. So that withstanding, I did enjoy it, and I did like the fact that JD Drake, they pointed out that this is like the first time anyone this big has gone against the Gates of Agony, and the Gates of Agony have really sold for them because they're usually facing these kind of high flyers, smaller guys, where they can get some offense by using their speed or their agility, but you don't really see power moves made on the Gates of Agony. But we saw it here with JD Drake, and like you said, Anthony Henry I think is so underrated, and he's always kind of like the more underrated between him and JD Drake, because JD Drake does stuff that guys his size don't usually do, but Anthony Henry, he's just in the right spot when he needs to be. He just he paces his matches really well, so I think he's very underrated. And like you said, workhorsemen, man, they should get a lot more. But when I saw this matchup, I was like, Gates of Agony gonna win, because workhorsemen, man. Workhorsemen. It seems like the Kingdom got their graduation and they're in an AEW program. So the new Kingdom that always loses all the time, tag team, is the Workhorse. When it's a tag team match between real tag teams, I always expect the Workhorsemen to lose. Just like anytime Kingdom went for the ROH tag team titles, I was like, they're gonna lose.
They're gonna lose. Agree with you. And the end did get clunkier. You're right. It feels like maybe some of these guys just got gassed a little bit. Like it got a little bit messy. This one went 11 minutes, and this one probably could have gone 8, and we could have thrown that on to something else, just like a little bit off. But overall, really fun stuff. And I just like what's developing here. We're getting stories, we're getting stakes. Everything is intentional, which is all we ever really wanted. Guys, we're coming down the home stretch in a little bit here. Get in your super chats and your humper chats. Stick around for the Impact post show. You're going to have the amazing, wonderful Cresta, the star. Cresta is so great. Stick around for her. And then also Joel will be here. So that's cool. But
my favorite Canadian. My favorite Canadian. Not named Kenny Omega, Christian Cage, Bret Hart, Owen Hart.
I was going to say.
Yeah, all those guys. Except for those, my favorite Canadian.
Do you like Joel better than Jericho?
Yeah.
What about Don Callis?
Oh, that's hard. I'll take Don because, true heel.
Sure, of course. What about Alanis Morissette?
Oh, my sister really liked her. No, but I'll take Joel. I think
over
Joel
Alanis.
I think Joel could sing in that.
Oh, okay.
He can be.
All right.
Yeah.
Celine Dion?
Ooh. Nah. I sang Celine Dion for his birthday too. So I gotta pay respect. So Celine Dion gets over him as
understandable.
And the weekend.
In the weekend. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the cast of Degrassi.
Well, I mean, I didn't even have to ask that one. I knew what the answer to that was, but it is all coming back to me now. So, and that's not a slight at Joel. It's just Celine's a legend. You know what I mean?
No slight to you. No slight. Ryan Reynolds above him too. Ryan Reynolds.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. See, this isn't an insult to Joel. It's just like, come on, it's Ryan Reynolds. You know what I mean?
No, but he's in the top 35, 40, top 40 Canadians.
Top 40 Canadians. Casey Kasem would count him down. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
we'll take it. Top
40. Casey Kasem. That reminds me of the Saved by the Bell episode when Casey Kasem hosted the dance contest, and Lisa and Screech had the worst routine. But just because Lisa broke her ankle,
sprain.
The sprain.
How dare you?
The worst routine. That was the worst routine. Slater and Kelly had the best routine. What are we doing here?
On the adversity scale, it's like Cody Rhodes, Lisa Turtle with the sprain. Okay? How dare you? She's got one leg out there. I thought you were going to say Casey Kasem in the Zack Attack.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Let's not forget, he made multiple appearances.
Forever we'll be friends. When Zack did that, I cracked up. Every single, even as a kid, we'll be friends. I was like, that's not your voice.
Oh my, isn't it so funny? I was 7 and knew that was not your voice, man. Like, man.
It's like, that's not your voice.
I wish, see, not only did I not get us a proper border for our frame tonight, but knowing how much you like to talk about 90s stuff, I could have gotten like a pink fuzzy border. We could have this whole show could have been a dream sequence SP3.
Would have been great. People wouldn't even know if it's real.
They wouldn't know. They would be like, I thought this was a wrestling review show, and now I'm in an 80s rom-com dream. I don't understand what happened, but I'll tell you who's a gal of my dreams.
Touch the furry wall. Touch the furry wall. But yeah.
The gal of my dreams, the pink fuzzy border around my heart, is Leyla Hirsh, who defeats Angela Risk quickly here with Maria Kanellis in her Barbie power suit. Love to see it. Watching on from the entrance, Hirsh with a dominant win here, tapping out Risk with the armbar. And we get Athena confirming with Lexi Nair that she is the face of ROH and that Athena is looking for more women to beat up, essentially, after this. I think Leyla Hirsh is angling for this title. She also had beautiful sparkle eyeshadow on. We're going to talk about Leyla Hirsh. Let's talk about it now, since this is all in the same storyline, actually. Leyla is backstage with really pretty sparkle eyeshadow, as I noted. And she says that belt looks great and she wants to go for it. But Maria kind of makes her pause and says that she needs to work on her confidence a little bit here. She knows she has it inside her, but I actually didn't love the way that got laid out. Because in my head, I'm like, why wouldn't Leyla Hirsh be confident? She's beaten everybody she's faced and she's come back and she's Leyla freaking Hirsh. So I didn't love the reasoning for it, but I love the pairing of Maria Kanellis and Leyla Hirsh and a woman being kind of absorbed into the stable of the kingdom. Like, I love mixed stables. So I liked that. The wording around this was a little bit weird. Like, I think Leyla Hirsh is and should be plenty confident already, but what were your thoughts on this? And do you think we're headed toward Leyla Hirsh and Athena? Because I'm excited.
I would be so down for that, but I think that Maria's thinking 3D chess, y'all. Yes, Leyla Hirsh is beating everybody, but she ain't beating no Athena. So Maria's like, let someone else beat Athena. You keep building up wins, gaining your confidence. Where someone else beats Athena, we can swoop in there.
Okay, I'm not mad about that. I'm not mad about that.
There's only one person I think we can all agree that should beat Athena, should be the one to dethrone Athena, and has beaten Athena and proven she could beat Athena, and that's Willow Nightingale. If you're not going to give her the AEW Women's World Championship, throw that ROH Women's World Championship on her. Maybe they're waiting till final battle, so Leyla, just bide your time. We'll find someone for you to break their bones. You'll be fine. Just, once Willow wins the title, we'll swoop in. We'll win that title. I think Maria's thinking 3D chess for her. So I like this story. And I'm not necessarily thinking this is bringing the kingdom in. I think this is kind of making Maria do her own thing. And okay. I would like the fact that commentary brought up that she was a part of the board of directors, even if it's not, they're using her for the women's division behind the scenes, which they should. Even if it's not that, at least on screen, put her on the board of directors. That's what I would do.
I like that idea a lot. I do, especially because I think it's pretty widely known how integral she was to the women's division before ROH shut down. I actually kind of feel like the ship has sailed with the Willow ROH title. I think if they ran it back, it would be a banger, but she's lost a few times now, and I feel like she just very quickly is an AEW gal. I think she should probably hold one of those titles sooner rather than later. And that would make me very, very happy. So, but I feel like I would prefer to see it go to someone who's going to be sticking around ROH, because I think Willow is going to keep working AEW. So I like that they're building up people, but I've got to say too, I also like that I'm not sure, because we see Billie Starkz come into the picture here. We get a little beat down after this match that we see with Billie and Robyn Renegade. That was a whole bunch of fun. And Athena kind of starting to show respect to other people that feel like contenders. But let's dive in to Cole Karter and Rhett Titus before we get there. It's both good and bad that Reg isn't on the show tonight, because this is not Reg's guy, and tonight felt like just very generic wrestler 101 to me from Cole Karter. Now, he's a young and growing talent. He's someone in ROH that's still kind of finding himself, but he thinks Maria has a crush on him, and I just think that was about the corniest angle that you could possibly take, and he looks and delivers this kind of like a Ken doll. This was not for me tonight, and I also don't love that he went up against Rhett Titus. Now, I love Rhett Titus being back on this brand because he is an integral part of this brand, but there's no part of me that bought that Cole Karter beats Rhett Titus today. Like, it just wasn't the right guy for him to go up against, in my opinion. But he does get the win here with a flying knee that goes into a nice looking backbreaker into DDT here. But I just don't feel like he's quite unlocked that thing that makes him unrepeatable yet. And he's not like in a faction or an underling or anything like that. So he kind of needs to have a little bit more meat on the bone here. But this is kind of what ROH is going to be used for performers like him, right? Like, they're going to find themselves along the way. But for things that were on my screen tonight, this just didn't really hit a home run with me. If Reg were here, he would be ripping him to shreds. So sad that we don't get to see the entertainment aspect of it. Glad that he's not reviewing stuff he didn't like here. But what were your thoughts on what we got?
I mean, Cole Karter, I've never been a fan of him, even when he was 2 dimes and he got thrown in the river. I have not liked him. I did like his finisher. Finisher looked good.
Finisher's cool.
But they had the promo and then him in the ring. I was just like, man, I said earlier that Adam Cole and MJF is AEW's answer to the Bloodline. This is their answer to Austin Theory. But not even Austin Theory now. Austin Theory in 2019. It's like, oh man, like, what are we even doing? Or if for older fans, for older folks, Sean Stasiak. Like, it's just comes off like dumb hunk that they think is just a good looking face. They're gonna put out there. They're gonna think they're gonna give him a little bit of a push, but I don't think he has it.
I don't want to do this, but I have to do this because it's so funny. Is the default cod that, oh my gosh, when MJF said that, tremendously popped. But that's actually kind of what we're saying here, I think, a little bit. Like, it doesn't feel like it. But there's also should be a lot of patience to be had for someone that's this young at this, a growing star. This is going to be a finding place for people to find their characters and who they are as a wrestler. Like, some people here are still finding their identity. It's just difficult because the ROH roster is an embarrassment of riches as far as like in-ring professional wrestling goes as well. So a little bit trickier, but someone who figured themselves out as a very young age is Billie Starkz. And boy, did she show it tonight. We get Robyn Renegade with Charlette Renegade, of course. At ringside here, Shea Monster saying, hey guys, hope everyone's in a happy headspace and enjoying wrestling. Well, thank you. I am today. Multiple storylines. Yes, we were also excited that stories are happening in our wrestling promotion. Saying, oh, and they're teasing Billie as Athena's young lion. Yes, this is an interesting development as well. I don't know if that's where they're heading with this. I wouldn't hate it. But real quick, we'll run down the end of the match here. We get Renegade driving Starkz into the mat headfirst, which was not my favorite near fall that I've ever seen, but Starkz dumping Robyn to the floor, and both Renegade twins getting hit with the plancha. Back in the ring, Starkz hits the Swanton bomb for the pinfall. She is way better than she has any right to be at this age. You don't get this good that young without a whole bunch of hard work. Not only from an in-ring skill set, but the way that she navigated the two of them is not something that is naturally picked up on as a wrestler necessarily. Like, that is a different can of worms from a storytelling angle. And she just absolutely crushed it. She looks so comfortable in the ring. She looks very comfortable in ROH especially, which is always nice to see. What were your thoughts on this match? And then we'll get into the post-match in our main event.
I really liked the matchup. I thought this was one of the better Renegade twins, either tag team matches or single matches that I've seen. And it comes down to Billie Starkz. It's just, yeah, like you said, so good in the ring. And I was actually surprised that that was the finish, even though I've seen her, get the win with the Swanton before like that. I didn't expect that to be the win just there. So it kind of surprised me. So I like this matchup. I like building up Billie Starkz. And if Willow's not going to be the person, then maybe it's Billie to beat Athena.
That's what I'm loving about Athena right now, is it feels like nobody can beat her, but because it feels like nobody can beat her, it also feels like maybe it's Diamante, maybe it's Leyla, maybe it's Billie, maybe it's somebody who we haven't seen yet. There's so many options here. My only complaint with this is the Renegade twins are a tag team. They are not identical twins. They do not look alike. They cannot pull off twin magic. So if they're not in a tag program, this just leaves them in a weird limbo. So that's my only complaint about that. That's not even something necessarily in their control, but I feel like we say it a couple weeks in a row. It is kind of noteworthy that like commentary jokes about like it's twin magic, but obviously it's very clear which one of them is who. So not the
worst
best
twin
there,
magic
but
ever.
yeah, next to I remember the FTR twin magic that we got. That was not.
Oh yeah,
that
not
was
good.
FTR has not had a lot of missteps like in their whole lifetime, but that one was not great. But I'll tell you what is great. Josh freaking Woods, man. I love this guy, and I kind of like that he seems to be on his way out of the varsity athletes. Not that I had a problem with him in the varsity athletes, but the Josh Woods that we know from the pure division of ROH, this guy, him versus Silas Young next week, yeah, give me that. I feel like there was a lot of fun stuff happening with him and Tony Nese, but his ceiling is so high as an individual competitor. He's so underrated. You guys are going to be blown away if you haven't seen him before by what he's capable of. I adore this guy. I'm glad to see him breaking out on his own. Very excited to see him get his pure shot last week, which I thought was really good. I think the sky's the limit for this guy, so I'm very excited. Before we get to our main event, we get this little promo backstage with him and Smart Mark. What did you think?
I like this opportunity for Josh Woods. I'm interested to see where this goes because it felt like it was just the latest chapter in this story of kind of Josh Woods kind of trying to split away, it seems, from Smart Mark Sterling. And I like the fact Smart Mark chose Silas Young to be his opponent because you talked about earlier Athena possibly having Billie Starkz as her young girl or young gal, but Silas Young. Lioness, Silas Young used to have Josh Woods as his young lion back in the ROH days. So kind of bringing them back together to get Josh Woods back on, the right page after his loss against Shibata last week. It makes sense. So I like that. I like that move a lot.
Well played. I forgot about that. That's a really good pull. A good duo. And
shout out to Silas Young, who was in front of Hammerstein Ballroom back in 2019 when I got hit in the back with a kendo stick for the first time. And he told me I took it like a G.
Damn, okay. If he's saying that, that's a very valid opinion. That's one to assign some weight to. So, and
what's the mark?
I believe it. We get, for our main event, our ROH World TV Championship Eliminator Tournament Final, which is a mouthful to say, I gotta tell you, but was a heck of a match, and I am looking forward to what we're getting out of it. Shane Taylor versus Gravity. Not exactly a high flyer. You would think Gravity would be on his side, but he was fighting Gravity tonight. And what was a really fun match, and one that we knew was going to go this way. Good for Gravity continuing to get work here in the AEW ROH umbrella. Knew Shane Taylor was going over, knew how this match was going to look. I have no complaints about the way that it did. I thought we were going to get Shane Taylor and Samoa Joe out of the first one of these tournaments, and my complaint about that was, why don't we do this with a build? Because these two guys on the mic are going to be a whole heck of a lot of fun. And they said, Kate, we hear you and we raise you. Another Eliminator tournament with a couple of weeks of build in here while Joe is off being Sweet Tooth or whatever the hell he's doing. I think this is great. I love this idea, and it deserves mic time because those promos are going to be fantastic. And then we are going to get some big meaty men slapping meat, SP3. Looking forward to that. What do you think of our main event tonight and how that's looking to fold into the TV title picture?
Can't wait to see some big mid event slapping meat. And like you said, the promo battle, that's what I'm all about. I said the same thing with the Samoa Joe CM Punk thing when they had their matchup in the Owen Hart Cup. I was like, man, we're doing Samoa Joe and CM Punk and we can't get like promos to build it up and make it feel big. And same thing like you said with the Shane Taylor Samoa Joe. So and I like that AEW is listening to all this and ROH and giving us the stuff that we need with a little bit of build, because they didn't announce when the title match is going to happen. So maybe we can get a face-to-face. Maybe we can get an in-ring promo exchange. How many times we did that in ROH when it's not in Universal Studios? I think 0. I mean, like, I think they have not done that when it's not in Universal Studios, which
because it's a dark match or a late match. We don't get a whole lot, but we have backstages. I mean, the only thing that I actually remember is You're a Nice Guy, Samoa Joe and Zack Sabre Jr. setting those up, and those happened in the ring a couple of times, but really haven't seen it outside. That actually might have been at the studios too. I have a hard time
was at Universal
because
that was at Universal.
Was a 19-match card. That was the last time Reg wasn't here, and he abandoned me when there were 19 freaking matches. But we had a fun episode of ROH to talk about. We had Sean at the beginning of the show talking to us about what was going on with Bray Wyatt. But now...
you caught me.
I did. We did catch you off guard. And we're going to bring in the losers of the Zicky Dice battle because we got them on ROH, baby. You guys.
Hey, man. Listen, you want to know what the winner... You want to know what the winner is doing from that tag team? You want to know what he's doing? He's about to discover the internet.
Yeah, he just found out what the internet was today, and Johnny Swinger was like, "What's the internet, Daddy?" And I was like, "Oof, what's it like being stuck in the '80s?"
I love it.
Probably better. I feel like nobody should show him the internet. His life's probably so much less complicated.
Swinger giving a shout out to Simon Diamond in 2023 was my favorite moment of all of Impact.
Nice.
Well, we got to steal Zicky Dice. How was Impact tonight? We had a strong episode tonight again, which was really refreshing to talk about. How things shake out on your end?
I liked it. I thought it was 5 out of 5. That's just me. But it was a very, it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm pissing myself. But it was a solid episode. To me, nothing was wrong. And honestly, shout outs to PCO being Impact's Undertaker Sting. I'm happy for you. I'm very happy for you.
Yeah, it was a good episode of Impact tonight. It was one of those stuff gets done type of episodes. So storylines move forward and nothing overstayed its welcome. It felt like a good episode to watch.
Well, not to brag, but ROH has storylines now, and some might even say multiple ones. So while you're used to coming in here and seeing us very cranky, SP3 and I are all smiles. SP3, what was your match of the night tonight?
That's tough.
Or segment.
I'm just gonna say Athena and Rachel Ellery. Usually my match of the night is Athena because I'm a minion.
Of course, I'm a porcelain hussy, and I adore it. I'm who she's targeting when she says porcelain trash hussy, and I still love her. That's how good this woman is. But I really liked the main event actually as well. I thought it was very well done. Shane Taylor feeling important to the program again feels good, but overall it felt like it's just nice to be back on track with this program. But we are already running late. I get to blame Sean a little bit for that, for taking up 10 minutes of the show at the beginning,
fair.
But
That's fair.
We will let you guys get underway. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Stick around for the Impact half of the show. It sounds like it was a good one, so I look forward to hearing what's up. And say subscribe to Fightful Select because there's some fun stuff going on.
Plenty coming there. You want to be?
Boy, is there.
You want to be there. Trust me.
You do.
You want to be on top? That's America's Next Top Model reference.
What just happened? What are
we doing here?
That was an America's Next Top Model reference. Kate got it.
My
target audience. Yeah. The target audience was reached.
Okay.
SP3, you're gonna have to confer with the other half.
Yeah, I'll ask her. I'll see if she knows what's
Say
going
it
on
just
here.
like that, and ask her if that reminds her of Tyra Banks. And the worst case scenario,
The only show she makes me watch is The Kardashians. So anytime I hear that boring, slow voice of Kim Kardashian, it haunts me. I was watching a
I've never
challenge
seen an
documentary she
episode.
showed
I
up
don't
on.
even know what you're talking about with her dumb boring voice.
Target audience again reached.
I can do a pretty good Kardashian impression. Me and my sister talk to each other like this all the time.
Oh, this is great. This is great.
I have that and Tiffany Stratton and nothing else. That's my entire repertoire. You just heard it. But we will let you get crack-a-lackin' with Impact. Guys, thank you so much for sticking around. I'm excited to hear about some stuff on Impact. I really want to hear about the Kushida stuff. So I am looking forward to it. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye, guys.
If there's one thing Kate's going to do, it's basic white girl stuff.
That wasn't basic. That was top tier.
Top tier basic.
Get him. Get him. She said, I didn't leave.
I saw she's still here. All right, it's us now. Let me
Let me zoom on out. It's the normal. Hey guys, we're here.
Hi, Cresta. How are you?
You know, I started off doing my makeup one way, but I started channeling Juice Robinson, so I began to feel the gremlin fantasy. But now that I'm looking at it on camera, you know what I feel like I look like? My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. It's this and it's this.
That's insanity. I love it.
It's pretty good. If you know, you know. I mean, if you don't, please go watch The Princess Bride and read that book. That has no right being as funny as it is.
Oh my God. All right. Well, that's good. You had a busy day.
I slept. And what I was supposed to do and what I did were two different things. But overall, today was a great day. Today was a good day.
It was. Before I do this for the audio people, tomorrow around 1 p.m. Eastern, I think that's what we're planning on. Jeremy Lambert and I are going to be on FightfulSelect.com doing the Q&A show. What does that mean? That means Sean will feed us some of the answers to the questions that we don't have the answers to. But also you can feed us questions if you're a FightfulSelect.com member. You can ask us anything. You can ask Jeremy and I anything. You want to know questions about our lives, go for it. You want whatever you want to ask, go ahead and do it. That will be tomorrow, Friday, for anyone. I don't know. I don't know what the days are anymore. Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. That's the plan. So come and hang out with us, okay? Are we ready to get going?
I am ready. Let's do this.
Hello, friends. We're back again. It's Fightful.com. It's August 10th, 2023. I am at Joel Pearl, and it's time for your Impact Wrestling post show. As always, I have my number one collider, my ride or die, my favorite co-host. Sorry, Kate. I'm here with Cresta Star. How are you, Cresta?
Joel, you are my favorite co-host too. Sorry, Riddy and Rick and Sean. Listen, I don't care. I love y'all. Sorry. But Joel's like my fairy wrestling father. I love him. He's the best.
Anytime I get to celebrate wrestling with you, I am a happy, happy human being.
Same, because we just really shoot the poo.
And you know what? There's plenty to celebrate tonight. Impact was a pretty solid show. We're going to run it down as we always do. We're going to talk about it. We're a couple of weeks out from Impact Emergence in Toronto. I plan on being there. Don't know what my post-show situation is because my hometown producer, when I go from one venue to the next, is unavailable. So we're going to figure it out. Either way, there will be some sort of emergence post show. May not be live, might be live. I don't know, but we'll get something to you. How's that? Okay. This is the first Cresta's hearing about it too. So don't worry. Just don't freak out.
Just
okay?
show up on your phone, bro. Just listen. I feel like this show is known not for its quality.
It's known for a certain quality of production. I like to have the audio at least sound good. That's why I'm here.
That's fair.
More than anything else. Anyway, I'm also here for the yucks. That's true. I'm also here for you to leave your thumbs up here on the video. And of course, subscribe to us here at youtube.com/Fightful as we march towards 100,000 subscribers. A number I don't think any of us expected to ever see, but we are within arm's reach. I'm talking like less than 500, maybe a little over 500 subs to get there. Let's go. Tell your friends, man. It's a free subscription. $3.99. That is cheaper than Impact Wrestling's Ultimate Insiders package. Okay, their YouTube costs money to watch the show. Ours is free to watch our recap. So why don't you just go ahead, subscribe to us here at youtube.com/Fightful. If you got to make another account to do it, go ahead, do that. Tell your friends. Let's go. And of course, if you want to do a little financial friendly stuff for us, you can go ahead and subscribe to us at FightfulSelect.com, the best $5 in the business. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And of course, you can leave a super chat here at youtube.com/Fightful. Any amount, get your question or statement read on the air, or you can head over to humperchats.com. Cresta will fill you in right now.
You head on over to humperchats.com, use your fingers, type it or your thumbs, and then you reach inside of your wallet. Your wallet could look like this. You just open it, you turn it upside down and put it into your CD slot, if you still have one of those, and say, hey, Cresta, Joel, how was Impact tonight? We get to keep a larger portion of that donation that you do put in your CD slot. We're happy. Joel Pearl is happy. Sean Ross Sapp is happy. Humperchats.com. Disclaimer, please don't put money into your CD port. Why do you still have a CD port? I mean, CD ports are important, but like, please don't put money into your CD port.
Mommy, the lady on the internet told me to put my money into the CD port. Now it's making sounds. In the background,
Please don't do that. Like, don't put a pancake in there, even though it is the shape of a pancake, to close it to feed your Neopet. Thank you. Public service announcement.
Are we speaking from experience?
No. Why would you think I would do that, Joel? Oh my God.
So nothing really would shock me anymore from you, Cresta. We've been doing this for well over a year, and nothing you say would ever shock me at this rate. Neopets over here.
Yo, check to see if your Neopet is still alive. Life alert.
Does anyone remember their ICQ number while we're showing our age?
Get out of here.
854-86791. Is it active? Hell no. Was it my number? Yes, it was.
Dude, I've been trolling since Netscape. Don't speak the old text to me. I was there when they wrote it.
Lady, we're old. Let's talk about BTI. Let's hop right into our best pal, George Iceman, hanging out in the coffee shop. I'm sorry, it's his office. And he says, who will take on Subculture at Emergence? He's hearing that Subculture is watching Impact from the UK. I should hope so, considering, they're the tag champ. They work for the company. I should hope they watch the product. And then he says that they're training for one specific team, but if it changes, then things will go differently. And I'm sitting there being like, that is an awful plan of action. And whoever is telling you that this is what you should do as a tag team should probably rethink your strategy.
Is giving plausible deniability. I was practicing for this team, but this team won. Therefore, I don't like the outcome of this match. Should I lose? Only if I lose. But if I win, then I'm a god.
That's exactly it. But instead, we're gonna see who gets the tag title match at Emergence, and we're gonna get right into that in a minute. First, Champagne Singh takes on Kevin Knight. I don't want to spend too much time on this match because honestly, it was real clunky. It got awkward. There were some moments. I don't want to kind of harp on it, but it just wasn't a very good match. Knight gets the win after the jumping DDT. Mahal Ali Shera tries to interfere. Singh hits Shera off the top rope, off the apron. But there were a few spots where I was just winning. I was like, why are we even airing this match? Because I expected better from both men, and I've seen better from both men. I don't know if the chemistry was off. It was just, there was stuff that should have been hidden in this match, but it happened. What do you think?
I agree. But I thought that this was on purpose because at a lot of points of that match, it looked like Kevin Knight was throwing himself at Champagne Singh.
Okay.
Like it just looked like he was throwing himself. But now that you said that, that makes a lot more sense. That does make it like why are you just, maybe y'all both sweaty? Like you try to grab someone because they're sweaty, you just slip. That's what I thought.
Singh has been at this for a very long time. Raj Singh has been wrestling for years, easily 20 years. He's been at this for a long time. I don't know what happened. It was weird. There was one point where Kevin Knight goes for a springboard crossbody, which he does in almost every match. And for some reason, Singh almost no-sells it and kind of sandbagged him a little bit. It was
That's what I was saying. It's like you bounced off of him. It just seemed like Singh, no-sell. It was just like, I am in Puri. I break you, like Zangief.
And then later on, Singh goes and hits the knee to the side of Knight's head while he's draped across the top rope. And then instead of dropping him for the Ushigoroshi, which is just the knee on the back of the head as you bring him down from
that's my new favorite word, new favorite move. Say it
Ushigoroshi?
one more time.
Ushigoroshi.
And
That
sounds cool as hell.
Adam Cole does that, baby. And
I didn't know that was the name of it.
That's the name. So anyway, instead he drops him on the back of his neck onto his head, like not onto his head, but just he almost scoop slams him instead of actually doing the move he's supposed to do, which is supposed to be kind of like a knee breaker type of thing.
Yeah.
There was just a lot of really weird stuff. They do the crossbody again, and that's when he hits it. Kevin Knight hits it on Raj Singh. It was just again an awkward match. Don't know what happened.
It was a showcase for Kevin Knight. I will say that, but I will also say that every match can be a banger. Like I said, now that you said maybe things were clunky and you're like, okay, now that makes more sense. But to me, it was like maybe Singh is just being a jerk. I respect the ref for taking the money and saying, I don't cheat. Favorite part of the match. She took the money and said, hey, you know what? I don't cheat. I don't know what to tell you. What about the money? What money? Are you going to confess you paid off a ref? I wouldn't do that.
If you're gonna go ahead and get all the money, make sure you get all of it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Get the money up front.
That's
Always
right.
Get the money up front.
That's right. Take the money and run. Let's open up Impact with the tag title tournament. Ace of Bays take on Swann and Callihan. I thought it was a slam dunk. Ace of Bays would be advancing, but instead the Good Hands show up. They break up the pin from Ace Austin, trying to pin Sami Callihan. Skylar does the stroke on Austin. Callihan hits a pile driver. Sammy and Rich Swann advance in this thing. And it looks like Bey and Good Hands are going to have some sort of blow-off match, but we'll talk about the whole match. But what do you think of this whole outcome?
I didn't have time to mute.
Sounds good. That sounded really good.
Delicious. Honestly, I'm on your side with I thought that Ace of Bays was going to win. But when they didn't, I'm like, oh, okay, so we really putting it on the Rascals. I'm not mad about it. It gives Ace of Bays something to do. But Good Hands, you should change your name to Bad Fellers. That was so rude. Oh my God. I think, like, the match itself was good. It was fine. It was really in the first third. They were really poor. Ace Austin was getting his ass beat this match. Ace Austin was getting beat up, but he was also doing a really good job of selling as well. So like I say, he was getting beat up. He might not have been getting. He might have been pillow hands in there, but I believe that Ace Austin was in peril this whole match. Bey getting caught in the chicken wing from Sami after Austin got dragged outside by Swann was really interesting because I've never really seen Chris Bey tap or be like in peril like that. For the most part, he's really protected in this group. So I'm okay with it. To me, it telegraphs Rascals win unless this is a three-way, because Ace of Bays complains and says, yo, these guys interrupted in the match. That's not fair. I don't know. But again, to me, this is a telegraphed, we're going to have the Rascals win the tag titles, and I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
Me neither. So these four had great chemistry. In the grand scheme of things, this is the Rascals tournament, mini tournament to win, because Subculture are a babyface tag team. Swann and Callihan are not. Ace of Bays are kind of on the tweener side, more babyface than anything else. But because they're Bullet Club, people think that they're heels. But instead you get Swann and Callihan versus the Rascals probably next week. And then you do, I'm going to guess that it's just going to be Rascals versus Subculture. And I'm okay with that, because looking at what's going on in the field for Emergence, Impact loves to do like one title change per event. This is the time where I could see the tag titles being dropped, because Subculture, they're clearly in the UK. They're clearly still based there. It costs a lot to keep having to bring people in once a month or for a few days, send them up in a hotel, fly them across not just the country. Country is one thing. Fly them from another continent internationally. That is a whole other can of worms. So I could see Rascals cheating, winning the tag titles at Emergence. But first, they got to get there. They got to beat Sami Callihan and Rich Swann first. But no, this match was good. Sami has a great flatliner DDT combo. And then, of course, Ace of Bays, not to be outdone. They do their neck breaker and kick combo that I really enjoyed. I love this. Sami Callihan catching Chris Bey in the chicken wing when they tried for the Art of Finesse. That was so damn good. That made the match for me. And, of course, Good Hands getting involved, it sucked, but I get what they're trying to do. And then Callihan and Swann are just going to go on to Rascals, and I assume the Rascals are going to get the win, unless for some reason you get the good hands getting involved in this outcome. You got AO in the chat sending a super chat saying Rascals must have paid the good hands. They did a whole thing on social media while the show was going on where Wentz and Bey were going back and forth about Rascals paying off the good hands. So it could play into it. Who knows?
I mean, I could even see it taking it one step further. What if they didn't pay the good hands? What if the good hands are big mad that they're not involved in this tournament and just being a menace? Because if I recall correctly, if not last week, 2 weeks ago, they were like, Scott D'Amore, how come we're not involved in this? Or Santino, this is a little BS. And he's like, well, you guys are losers. You really haven't won anything. That's why you're not involved in it. So be gone, foul demon. And they were like, okay, so whatever happens now happens. So it could legitimately be I'm bitter Betty and I'm jealous.
I was going to say something. I completely just forgot what it was about good hands. Good hands could easily be in the pocket of the Rascals with the guarantee that if the Rascals win the tag titles, they get the first shot through the good hands. It could be as simple as that, which is an old heel trope. And then they just kind of beat them and that's it.
How many times are the good hands going to fall for this same trick? If that is the case, how many times? Because this will be the third. The first time was with Bully. The second time was with Moose and Myers. And this will be the third. Please. This is worse than the baby face. Surely the bad guys aren't going to jump me.
Well, you never know. Baba sent us a Humper Chat over at humperchats.com saying the good hands are building up go away heat in this household. Johnny Swinger without Zicky, the injustice still stings. We're going to talk about Johnny Swinger because I got some thoughts on that.
Zicky Dice not being here, disgusting. But from what I gather from the ROH post show, he went to Ring of Honor. And I mean, yeah, I get it. But Johnny Swinger, I'll never forgive you. I'll never forgive you.
The honorable Zicky Dice. He should be a judge. It should be a Ring of Honor gimmick where he is a judge and he calls himself the honorable Zicky Dice.
All right, listen, be for real. Look at Zicky Dice. What about him looks honorable?
That hair looks honorable.
That man is dishonorable, haram. He's not good, not kosher. He's not good.
Good Lord. Anyway, speaking of not kosher, Santino's in the back with an electrolyte drink saying like, I finally get them in it. And then in come the Coven and they say there have been a lot of bad decisions being made lately, including your haircut, Santino. And they're like, no, that's not the point. Coven say they're owed a rematch. They beat Deanna and Trinity last week. So they should be given the Knockouts tag title match at Emergence, or at least included. And then in come the Death Dolls. They're running in Jessica and Courtney Rush, and they say, we want to be part of this. And then Santino's like, why? And he says, or they say, we're awesome. And then Santino's like, no, you got to do better than that. And so they get into the huddle position, as they do. And they're like, what do we do? I have no idea. I thought that would work. And then Santino joins them. And I kind of like this because it's so stupid. He reminds the Death Dolls that they beat the Shantaraj at Slammiversary. The Shantaraj are scheduled to be challenging for those Knockouts tag titles. Makes sense. And also the Death Dolls are former Knockouts tag team champions themselves. And then with the stupid accent that Jessica nails, she reminds Santino of just that. Clearly, Cresta Star, they're watching our show because they're doing the damn voice.
Honestly, that was 10 out of 10.
It was. This
segment sold me for the rest of the night. When Santino said, what are you guys talking about? And they said, yeah, we trying to convince, we thought also would be enough. And after he gave them the whole plan, Courtney Dead says, thank you, kind stranger. Yo, bro, you're wild. You're Then it turns back to him, and then Jessica, with her whole chest, does the Santino voice, and how any of those people kept a straight face is beyond me. That was, I don't like to compare people like this, but that was Sami Zayn levels of, he's not feeling Uzi. Oh my God. That was so funny. And that was so, like, you didn't even try, bro. You just gave it to him verbatim. 10 out of 10. I don't know how many times I had to do that take. But how all of them kept a straight face, brava.
I am going to see Taylor Wilde in about 9 days. I might ask her how many takes that took.
That's my personal question. How y'all kept a straight face, and if it took more than one take, okay, you knew it was coming. But if that was the first, oh boy, I couldn't be a wrestler because this would have been me the whole time.
Well, to make things serious again, in walk MK Ultra, the Knockouts Tag Champions. And after Masha says something in Russian, Kelly says they'll take on all comers. So it's going to be a 4-way Knockouts Tag Team Championship match. It's going to be MK Ultra. It's going to be Death Dolls. It's going to be the Shantaraj and the Coven. I didn't love that they made this a multi-tag team match for Emergence, but I do like the way they got there.
Big, meaty women slapping meat.
I mean, there aren't that many meaty women in this. I mean, yeah, I guess you can get to Kylan King and Giselle Shaw. That's going to be fun.
Okay. They're not meaty like a Big E, like a Bully Ray. This is they thick like a frozen peanut butter. So it's big meaty women for comparison for women slapping meat. And I'm excited. You know I love the Knockouts division. I have been out here champion in the Knockouts division. If you see me arguing on Twitter, it's me. It's
Cresta talking about the Knockouts division.
It's me. And like, what's the best women's thing? Like, whoa, before you argue about that, have you considered the Knockouts division? Because I don't think you're considering the Knockouts division. Have you seen what's going on in Knockouts? I was like, okay, we get it, Cresta. No, I don't think you understand.
You're on the Collision Post show, and all of a sudden, all you can talk about is the Knockouts division. You got 20 minutes alone on Deonna Purrazzo, and it's good enough.
Bro,
you could do it because Deonna's been on Dynamite, so I guess it works.
Honestly, I'ma say it. Y'all could all, and y'all, this is gonna reach the target audience. Y'all could all take a lesson from Impact Knockouts division. Okay, that's it. Except for tonight, because there's only one women's match, and that's okay because they get it passed. Because every other week it's like 8. Okay, that's it.
It's valid, and at least they moved a bunch of stories forward, and they had the challenge later on. We're going to talk about. But first, Bhupinder Gujjar takes on Dirty Dango with Alpha Bravo, and of course, Dirty Dango comes out, and what does he say? Man, do I hate pro wrestling? And what do I say? Man, do I like Dirty Dango? He's apt. He knows this gimmick. He lives this gimmick. He is every one of us, and I appreciate it. Gujjar looked great, by the way, not just in physical appearance, but the match itself. Bhupinder Gujjar knows how to go, but these two had really good chemistry. Dango sold everything well. All leads up to Bhupinder Gujjar setting up for that gargoyle spear. Bravo shines a flashlight in Gujjar's eyes. Dango hits the reverse DDT, gets the win. Good match, solid match. Dango cheats to win as expected. And then he starts running down the crowd after the match. Now comes Jake Something. And this was something I did not expect. He says he worked hard to come back to Impact and that if Dango doesn't like Impact, then he can get out.
Hit the bricks.
And instead, Something says, or I can make you. And instead, Dango's like, nah, I'm just going to leave the ring. But then he goes to sneak up behind Jake Something and gets a forearm to the face instead for his troubles.
Well, I will talk about the match first and say that I have no notes. Poor Bhupinder Gujjar. That's all I gotta say. You got cheated out your boots. Johnny Bravo with the flashlight.
Makes sense, but it's so stupid.
But this is why I said tonight Impact was 5 out of 5 for me. It was so bad. It was bad that it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Jake Something coming out here, and I know some guys, sometimes people tune in like, what thirsty comments Cresta gonna say this week? But I'm a changed man. Look at the range, man. And I will say that if Jake Something told me, or I'll make you get out the ring, I'm skedaddling. That is a huge man. And the fact that Dirty Dango went back in, I mean, Jake Something gonna beat you back to being funny, bro. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's a large, and he'll kill Johnny Bravo again. Don't do that.
I'm looking forward to Bravo and Something getting into it, because eventually Something's going to just knock the daylights out of Alpha Bravo, and that's going to be a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. But yeah, Jake Something, you know what? I'm sitting there watching week to week as he beat up jobbers, and I said, what's he going to do? What are you going to do for Jake Something? Because he's not going to go after the X Division Championship right away. Right now, there's the Kushida, Chris Sabin, Leo Rush world, and like that story is completely Jake Something-less. Doesn't need to be there. And the design, I see someone in the chat saying he thought it would mix with Eric Young in the design, but no, that's not where we're going with that either. Clearly.
I feel like that story is a little too personal to add extra people, and we might like in the lifespan of things, we might be in the end game for Violent by Design. We're in the final throes of that. So I wouldn't add him to that either.
Well, it's also just because Diener and Jake something were cousins at one point in Impact, right? You had cousin Diener and cousin Jake. You don't remember this, do you?
I do. I didn't know who the other person was, and it doesn't look anything like cousin Jake. Oh my God, I love the Dieners. Oh my God.
So the Dieners together, there was that, but I don't think they're going to run back to that just right so quickly.
Jake is very serious right now. I don't think.
Yeah.
And Cody is very serious as well. I don't think.
There's still time. I think that eventually Cody Diener and Jake something will do something, no pun intended, but I don't think it was the way they wanted to start it out. So I'm glad that this is where they're going, because Dango is the perfect beginning for Jake something. Then they'll figure out as the title situations become clearer where Jake something can go from here, which is good.
And plus, no one's going to feel bad, honestly, if Jake something beats the living breaks off of Dirty Dango, who's been coming out here for weeks with the, man, I hate pro wrestling. And very much what Jake something said, if you hate it so much, get out. I thought you were a successful mogul or something. Leave. You paid $200 to wear a holy shirt. Leave.
Well, we talked about Diener. Well, may as well talk about his segment next. Calls Eric Young sheep. Says Eric Young saw greener pastures, and when he saw the shepherd, he fled like the lamb he is. I loved it. That was a
great line. Oof.
Yes,
Oof.
it was. Diener says he's not a failure. Sami Callihan infiltrating the design was not a failure. It was Callahan's betrayal. Alan Angel, same thing. It was his betrayal. Eric Young, it's the same thing. It's your betrayal. And then he says, but Khan will never betray Cody Diener. Khan says, they insinuate that Khan's been mentored into becoming an indestructible monster. Easy for me to say. And I love that they're hearkening back to when Eric Young had Diener be the monster that he designed for Violent by Design. Khan is the same thing for Diener. So we're just passing down the generations. What do you think of this segment? Khan, of course, mentioned that he's going to beat up Eric Young, and that matches, I think it's next week.
Cody Diener in this promo, Mr. Diener, oh, that promo was so good. It bears repeating. He said, you left like the little sheep you were for greener pastures. And then when you saw who the shepherd was, you ran. That was so good. And I think that him also then from that super, I feel like actualization moment to then be in complete denial about that's not my fault that Sami Callihan betrayed us, even though Alan Angels warned me for weeks that Sami Callihan was going to betray me. And even though Khan doesn't say anything in the 2 words, he was like, he going to betray us. And I didn't believe them. That's not my fault. That's Callahan's fault. You not dying because I didn't make sure you weren't dead, and me not giving you the double tap. This is a joke for legal purposes, please. Bro, that's not my fault. That's you being a joke. That's your betrayal. The denial. Diener is so good in this moment that I'm now reinvigorated in it. I want this to not be 2-3 matches. I wouldn't mind us going another month now. If it's this version of Diener and we get something real nasty out of Eric Young, which I know we can. I've been watching a whole lot of Slammiversary tapes when Eric Young had the big beard and he was out here being crazy, homeless, and Canadian. I know he can do it. So it's like, if we get back to that, I would be very interested in that. Very interested program, because we did say at some point before this, Cody has to turn. I'm sorry, I don't know why I keep calling him Cody. Diener got to turn on Eric Young for beating his ass all them years, all that Stockholm syndrome. So I'm not mad at this. I'm very excited to see where this goes. But after this does need to be the end of it, because I think you jumped the shark at that point.
Yeah, this isn't something that you need to draw out unless you're about to have Diener go over, create a new group that just makes sense. And then Eric Young goes and I don't even know. I don't know. But once these two are done feuding, it's kind of like, okay, off to your corners, go to your separate universes. That's it. You're right. It might just be that. And I like that.
And that's okay. I mean, Eric Young, there's a lot of things for Eric Young to do. And there's a quote that Eric Young was like, if you can't find 10 minutes for Eric Young on TV, you're crazy. And Impact will find 10 minutes on TV for Eric Young. Absolutely.
As they should.
Yeah, I think even if he wanted to do Team Canada again, I'd be interested. Start a whole new Team Canada. Like, this is a Canadian promotion, and even if it's not, you have me fooled.
Actually, yeah, that's a good idea. I wouldn't mind seeing Eric Young approach Scott D'Amore and just be like, I have one more idea. I am an indestructible idea. You can't kill me. But how about we bring back Team Canada? And he puts together a new Team Canada with some newer, younger talent. I wouldn't hate that.
I wouldn't hate that either.
Sheldon Jean should be one of those members.
You know, I agree with that, to get him away from Kenny King, only because I think Kenny King is great on his own. And we know that at some point, Monsieur King is going to turn on you. And I think being a part of Team Canada in the Impact legacy is not a bad thing to be a part of. It's kind of like LWO, NWO for WWE, and AEW at this point, the Elite. Be a part of the Elite or Blackpool Combat Club. If you're a part of that, you're a rite of passage, you know?
It's funny because someone in the chat saying sign Lance Storm for Team Canada. Lance Storm already works at Impact Wrestling. He's a producer. He's already there.
Lance Storm wants to know exactly what you think is funny, because I'm not laughing.
Anyway, we mentioned Sheldon Jean and Kenny King. GML is backstage with Swingman, and Swingman shouts out Simon Diamond, which is wonderful in 2023.
Who is Simon Diamond?
Simon Diamond also became, was also known as Nova, and it was Bucci, Simon Bucci, WWE, Simon System, Simon Dean. Is that Simon Diamond?
I gotta look it up. I gotta
look it up again. Pretty sure Simon Dean became Simon Diamond.
Maybe it could be.
Oh no, he's the director of talent. Okay, what am I doing, guys?
There's a song that says, "What the hell am I doing here?"
Mike Bucci was somebody else. I'm so wonderfully out of it. No, that's Pat Kenny I'm thinking of. Pat Kenny is Simon Diamond. Anyway, let's stop doing that. Pat Kenny is Simon Diamond. I had a complete seniors moment, and I'm an ECW fan. That is very painful for me.
Not senior.
Simon Dean was Nova. Mike Bucci, Simon Dean, Nova. This is Simon Diamond. Simon Diamond is Pat Kenny, who works at NWA right now, so that's where that goes. Simon Diamond and Swinger were an ECW tag team before ECW shut down in 2001. Swingman is ready, and he's been training for his title match that's upcoming. In walk Kenny King and Sheldon Jean. Kenny King says, I am the champion of the galaxy because I'm the digital media champion, and the internet goes far beyond the reaches of the world, and Alex Shelley is only champion of the world, therefore he is better. And then he walks off, and Swingman says, wait, what's the internet, daddy? And two things I thought about was, oh my God, Swingman is going to win the digital media championship and go on a path of self-discovery of the internet. That's one. Number two, you know that episode of Family Guy where Quagmire discovers internet porn and then comes out of his house and he's super ripped and one arm?
So you say he'll go to the Swinger dungeon and figure out what the internet is?
100% saying that.
Oh man, that's like the episode of South Park where the whole internet shut down and Stan Marsh had like 10 minutes with the internet. They came out like, oh my God.
It was a ghost.
It was a ghost. All this ectoplasm. Oh my God, Slimer, get out of here.
So good. Anyway, that's where I think Swingman is. Swingman is going after the Digital Media Championship. I think that's better than anything we could ever expect, and I love it.
I mean, honestly, if the Digital Media Championship sends him on a path of actualization and then he becomes serious for one more time, I wouldn't mind seeing him go for a world championship title shot. If he wins or not, I'm okay with either or. But because I just got here and the world revolves around me, I'm a wrestling fan and I just got here, I want to see Swinger serious one time for the one time. Not like Dirty Dango serious.
But he hates pro wrestling, so that's okay.
But he don't hate Swinger don't hate pro wrestling. He's just confused.
Fair. Let's move on. Alisha Edwards with Edward Edwards takes on Jody Threat. Not much to say about this match. Edwards trips up Jody with Kenny the kendo stick, and then Kazarian comes out, takes out Eddie Edwards. Jody recovers, hits. She doesn't call it the F416 anymore. It's now called the Pop Shove It. If you're a skater, now you know. Shout out to Jody's 11-year-old rice cooker that died today. We hate it when rice cookers die, so our
travesty.
T's and P's to Jody Threat's 11-year-old rice cooker. Jody gets the win, though, so clearly the rice cooker's death is not in vain. And post-match, Kazarian goes to hit Edwards with the kendo stick, and as he winds up, hits Lish in the face and knocks her out. So there we go. Lish Edwards knocked out and loses the match. What do you think?
I agree with the crowd post-match. You deserve it. Honestly, with as obnoxious as Alisha Edwards has been, and I love it. Again, I love it. You absolutely deserved it. Her actually getting some offense in on Jody Thread. Okay, cute. Whatever. I don't really have any notes. Jody Thread beat that girl up.
But she got some offense in. You're right. Lish got a little bit of movement. Good for her. And
all she did was scream the whole time. So good for you. Sounding like a shrieker. I respect. So I don't know. What does this mean? Kazarian and Edwards were back on that horse again. Alisha's gonna be mad that she got hit with a kendo stick. You're an in-ring performer. Bully Ray puts women through tape. You literally were intimidated by Bully Ray, one Bullford Ray. What is happening here?
Buddy, that tag match is either going to happen in Toronto at Emergence, or they're going to do it at Bound for Glory, which to me makes more sense. Can we get Tracy Brooks' payday? You got to do that on the pay-per-view instead of on the Ultimate Insider show. I get it.
I feel like Tracy Brooks would have beat up Alisha. I do. I feel like she could have been out of the ring for the past 5 years. And with all due respect to Alisha, based off of your character and what I'm seeing right now, I think Tracy Brooks would have picked you up and put you down, sis.
I get it. I do. Deonna Purrazzo wants to put down Kylan King, challenges her to a singles match next week. Kylan King, of course, pinned Deonna Purrazzo last week in the tag match of the Coven versus Deonna and Trinity, the Impact Knockouts champion. I love this because there's some good... some good what do you call it? Not synergy. It's a reflection of itself. It's whatever. Kylan King had Trinity's first singles match in Chicago the last time they filmed there, so Kylan getting Deonna this time makes most sense. There you go. That's what I was
got it. I don't know what the word you're looking for, and when it comes to me, I'll just shout it out.
Someone in the chat will get it before me. I just know it. It's
all I got is palindrome.
Buddy, I've been
on both sides, and
I'm tired and I'm just here. So here we go.
He's tired. He's old. He works with children.
Yep. Speedball versus Kushida, though. That was a really good match. Really enjoyed that.
It was a great match. Talk about turning someone's arm into kneaded dough.
Buddy, so Kushida gets the win after hitting. He gets the hoverboard lock off the top rope as Speedball's going for the. He's going for the ultimate weapon. Kushida gets the hoverboard lock, takes him off the top. They fight for a little bit, and then Kushida turns it into a small package driver, gets the 1-2-3 on Speedball. This match was so good, and a lot of back and forth reversals, some good rope break submission attempts, and some good pinfalls. What do you think of this match? Traditional X Division style wrestling right here.
Symmetry. Shout outs to Dex Baker in chat. That's the word we're looking for.
Yes, it is symmetry.
Okay. Workout. This match was nice. I very rarely see Speedball really get the piss taken out of him. But Speedball, Kushida worked. I know Kushida to be a high flyer, but I always seem to forget that Kushida will also stretch you like Dean Malenko. Stop playing with him. Perry Saturn ass. Like he stretched the shit out of his arm. And it's like, I get commentaries trying to put over, like, see, if you would have bent the rules, like Jonathan Gresham said, and it doesn't matter because the ref wouldn't have saw it. I'm like, yeah, but Kushida still fought with honor. He fought with honor. Kushida was just a better person. I would not be opposed to a Speedball heel turn. I'd be interested to see it because he's very clean. He's very white meat, blue-eyed baby face. He's that. But like this match, like, yikes. I don't ever want to wrestle Kushida. You're going to have to pay me a lot of money. And then he kind of finger poke me or do him one time and I'm laying down. I'm doing the job because Jesus Christ. Oh, every time he hit that hoverboard lock, I said, you're going to break his forearm, his shoulder's dislocated. I'm mad. I know it's professional wrestling, but I too got worked.
Fair. The match was really good. The match was solid. There's not much I can add. I do love that at the beginning, as Kushida's going for that hoverboard lock and they go out of the ring, what does Kushida do? He just turns it into shoving Speedball into the post and just trying to take him out one piece of one limb at a time. This was really good. Speedball has a great moonsault, and it's so quick, especially after Kushida dives through the middle rope and misses Speedball because he's already up and ready to hit him with that moonsault. There's just really good chemistry between these two. It's a really, really solid match. Kushida getting the win makes sense again because he's got that Ultimate X, and we're waiting to build him for a match against Leo Rush, or at least whoever the X Division champion is. Kushida technically is supposed to have next, but there's no confirmation that it's happening anytime soon. It's not going to happen in Emergence because Kushida is part of that big 8-man tag, as is Leo Rush, who is the X Division champion. So who knows? It's very interesting.
I mean, I wouldn't mind Kushida sticking around. I think he just adds to any division that he's in. I will say I am kind of ready for Speedball to kind of move up to starting to sniff the main event scene, or at least like another title run. What he did with the X Division was amazing. I wouldn't hate him having the digital media, but I don't think he needs it. But I don't know what another title is, but I would like him to start sniffing the main event because I think he has such great chemistry with damn near everybody. I want to see him every week.
Chat's talking about Jonathan Gresham. He is injured. They're saying he's out 4 to 6 weeks. It's he's pulled from American Rana, which is a Beyond Wrestling event. They announced that about 3 days ago. So yeah, he'll be back soon. Honestly, Gresham's not figured into anything immediate, but I know that they're going to be factoring him in once he's back in the fold for Impact.
Yeah, speedy recovery, Gresham. Woof.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, someone in the chat's talking about like, what do we do with Sonata? So Sonata's going to be, I know you and I talked about this and had a good go around about this a few weeks ago on the show. Sonata still doesn't have an official opponent or announced segment for Emergence. He's just going to appear. I don't know who you could have Sonata face off against that would make sense. Speedball is probably the only guy on my list at this point.
No, I was going to say Kushida. I'm like, no, he already had a match, girl.
Yep. There's nobody else. You could do, if Macklin's better and Macklin wants to start a program, I'd love to see it, but I don't want to see Macklin lose on his return. I'd love to see Macklin return during the 8-man tag instead.
Well, now this is just me. I wish I had my my conspiracy theory hat, which I have no idea where it is. But I wouldn't mind into a segue into our next segment, Crazy Steve challenging Sonata, since he said he's looking for something to do and break out on his own, and he's always getting left behind. I would absolutely try to do something with Crazy Steve. Why not? Nico Distin is gone, so like, why not?
Tom Hannafin sits down with Crazy Steve. Apparently, this is a 3-part interview. Steve says he feels forgotten. His friends are becoming strangers. Talks about how the Death Dolls are currently doing their own thing and that Courtney Rush is being spoken to, or Rosemary is being spoken through Courtney Rush. Talks about his abandonment throughout his career in Impact Wrestling, mentions everyone he's been involved with and everyone who's left him. Talks about how he's blind, and this is something that I think a lot of Impact fans know, but maybe newer fans don't know, that he's been in the business for 21 years. I think there was a story once upon a time about Crazy Steve having a WWE tryout and his blindness basically not getting him the gig. So this is something he's been dealing with for a long time. It is. It's crazy, and no pun intended. But this was a really, really good segment. Something totally different for Crazy Steve, especially over the last few months. What do you think of this? And where are we going to go with Crazy Steve and his 3-parter with Tom Hannafin?
I feel so bad for Crazy Steve after watching that interview when him talk about everyone's leaving me, and I still talk to Rosemary and have it through the Undead Realm, but right now Jessica and Courtney Rush are doing the thing, and he starts listing off other teams, which I'm sure, like you said, were teams that have come and gone, and Crazy Steve has still remained. He's very well spoken. He has a great build. I don't know why someone wouldn't push him. I get it being legally blind, but not for nothing. If you don't know that about him, the way he wrestles, you wouldn't be able to know. And legally blind doesn't mean completely blind. It means you can't drive. Like, it means that far distances and things like that, like, you would be forgiven if you're like, I'm legally blind, but you know what I mean? Like, you see this, you know, I think that we could do something with him. It might be time for a change for him. I don't hate him being part of the crazy group, part of Decay, but it really made me feel for him. It put a human side to Crazy Steve, which I think everybody else is getting more depth than Crazy Steve. So this makes sense. And like I said previously, if we're going to do something out of the box, Crazy Steve is a great wrestler. So someone like him versus Sonata, I wouldn't be upset about. Even if it's a losing effort, which it probably will be, it's nice for him to get his name out there because he has a great skill set. Again, he looks great in the ring, has a great skill set. And all things considered, he's a good base and a good high flyer too.
Yeah, no, you're right. He's got a lot of potential, and there's a lot of stuff that you want out of a guy like Crazy Steve, and he will deliver. Speaking of which, Subculture, they're delivering by basically retaining their Impact Tag titles at Attack Pro Wrestling and then cutting a promo saying they're fighting champions. I have nothing to add about this. Do you? No. Joe Hendry and Yuya Uemura, they're deciding to go after the tag team titles, though. You got two people arguing in the back, and they say say his name, and of course Joe Hendry appears, and then they're like, "What are you doing here?" And Hendry's like, "No, you called on me. You said my name." And then they do the Yuya thing. It's very cute. It's very funny. And Hendry's like, "No, I gave you my contractually obligated rematch for the Digital Media Championship. Say whatever you need to say, speak your piece, and then we're going to go our separate ways, and that's it." And then Uemura just says, "Champions." Plural. And then Hendry just goes on to this whole, he starts fighting the idea, fighting the notion. And then he realizes, I got to go in a different direction. Can they coexist? Are Joe Hendry and Yuya Uemura about to become the Impact World Tag Team Champions, Cresta Star? Or is Joe Hendry going to turn on Yuya? Or is Yuya going to turn on Joe Hendry and finally get himself an extra piece to that pie of character development we continue to talk about?
Let's start backwards because that last one was the most interesting.
Yep.
I think that's not a terrible idea. And like, he just starts cutting a promo in complete English. Like, you wouldn't let me finish, you greedy son of a bitch. And if you would have let me finish, I would have told you. But instead, you just played me. I didn't even want to go for your X Division Championship. But I'd be an idiot if I said no. That'd be a gag. I would pop. I do see Joe Hendry turning on him. Because again, I like Joe Hendry. But Joe Hendry is not the hero. He's an anti-hero at best. That man took someone's inheritance. It could be the father of some other woman's child. You know what I mean? Like, Joe Hendry is not the good guy. However, this Yuya Uemura thing with his music is real cute. So if it's an odd couple pairing, that's real cute. If they become like a real it girl couple, okay, I'm with it. Do I think they'll take it off of the eventual tag win? Like, do I think they'll take it off of Subculture? No. Do I think they'll take it off the Rascals? No. Do I even think they'll take it off of like an Ace of Base? No. A Sami Callihan versus Sami Callihan, Swann versus them. Yeah, I could see that. But that's providing Callihan and Swann beat the Rascals and Subculture. We all know the Rascals are going to cheat to win. So I wouldn't hate it, but I could see Joe Hendry turning on him. It's a good idea to get them away. If they want to be cool and be friends for a while, that'd be great too, have them inject into the tag division. But I do see, if anyone's going to turn on someone, it'll be Joe Hendry. It's like, I'm tired of motivating people who aren't motivated, and I'm about to motivate you. Be like Dango, man, unmotivated people suck.
Well, I'm here to motivate you, Cresta. I'm here to motivate you to join the best $5 in the business. FightfulSelect.com. I gotcha. We got an update on Bray Wyatt that went live today. And of course, at the beginning of this show, Sean Ross Sapp was live with the post Ring of Honor crew talking about that Bray Wyatt update. But if you want all of the details written and reported, you've got it at FightfulSelect.com, the best $5 in the business. You want to know who originated the location of AEW Full Gear, where it's going to be this year? Well, guess what? FightfulSelect.com. Roman Reigns got an injury. Well, we have all the details, including just all the details, all the talk about it. Is he going to miss any time? What's going to happen? What are we expecting? FightfulSelect.com. We got the reporting. And of course, a little bit of Impact news. Moose signed a new contract. You want to know the details? We got it over at FightfulSelect.com. And tomorrow, if you're listening live, but if you're not, and it's Friday, whatever it is, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, as of right now, myself and Jeremy Lambert, who host In the Weeds on Fightful Overbooked, we're going to be hosting the Q&A over on FightfulSelect.com. Go over to FightfulSelect.com. There is a thread where you can ask your questions, ask us anything. If it's scoops related, Sean will probably get us an answer that we can basically be his conduit through which we answer it. But either way, for $5, you're getting all the answers and you get to talk to us and hang out with us because we're fun. We're fun. Okay. But get the news and all the other stuff Sour Graps, Coexisting After Dark, everything. Just go. FightfulSelect.com, best $5 in the business. I think we got it. AO sending a super chat saying, Cresta, don't be like that. Henry, smile. It'll fool you. Don't let it fool you.
Well, I was being nosy the other day, and I found out that Joe Hendry is born the day before I am. I'm May 2nd, and he's born May 1st. That being said, you can't trust Taurus men. Don't let that. So he's charismatic. But you can't trust him. In fact, Baldur's Gate has a gorilla grip on me, and I have a wrestler campaign, and I'm a bard. You know what my bard's name is? Joe Hendry. And you know what his proficiency is? Deception. Do with that information as you will. Insults people through song.
Baby, I can't break up with him. I still got CDs in his truck.
Who's him? Tell me his name. Say his name.
Our main event, Moose Myers and Bully take on Laredo Kid, Black Taurus, and it was supposed to be Samurai Del Sol, but he got beat down by Leo Rush backstage, so now it's a 3-on-2 match. Bully and Black Taurus matching up in this match was excellent. Taurus taking down Bully a bunch. Bully's bumping for Black Taurus, and I love it. He's like, Bully looked at Black Taurus and be like, oh, that big son of a bitch. I'll do stuff for him. Let's go. It was a really, really fun match. Taurus gets that hot tag to Laredo Kid. Eventually, Laredo Kid gets whipped into the referee by Bully Ray. They do a picture-in-picture shot, the reaction of the Time Machine and Josh Alexander just watching the referee bump and then all the action that happens afterwards. And there's just this delay of all four men looking at the screen, just being like, oh, as if they were told by someone off camera. And now do the reaction. It was very funny. At least to me, just thinking about the backstage stuff. Bully goes to unmask Laredo Kid and out go the lights. It's WCW 2000 and PCO is back. The lightning and the thunder. Bully is just gaping mouth, completely shocked. PCO standing in the ring. He takes out Moose and Myers and Bully starts to run away. PCO chases after him. Moose takes out Black Taurus. They double team Laredo Kid. Myers hits the roster cut, gets the win. So Moose, Myers, and Bully technically are your winners. But really, the post-match is Bully running down the stairs, running away, repeatedly yelling, I lit him on fire. I lit him on fire.
Don't do Long Island accents like that. They actually do Long Island accents like that. Get her, Jade.
And then Bully Ray, in true Long Island fashion, steals a car and goes to drive off. PCO runs up, can't get into the car, drives away, and he's just yelling, Bully! Stella! Anyway, PCO is back. What do we think of this main event?
Like I said at the crossover, I am so happy for PCO. He is literally their Sting, their Undertaker. When shit gets real, the lightning goes out. You hear the lightning crack. Who could it? It's Sting. No, it's not. It's PCO. PCO. I like how PCO is becoming their spooky final boss, and I live for it. Honestly, Bully Ray, that's what you get. You shouldn't set people on fire, especially the undead, because undead kind of implies that you can't kill them. So whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? What if Bully Ray? What if PCO set you on fire? An eye for an eye, the whole world goes by, except the one motherfucker at the end who got one eye. So
I set him on fire. I lit him on fire. Sorry, that's all I got.
Nah, I respect it. I mean, that's a good. If you see a man get set on fire, you're like, I got away with homicide. All right, legal purposes is a joke. And then that same man who you homicide comes back, not homicide the wrestler, but you damn near ran him over. Didn't they run him over too? Like, you did all of this stuff for him to come back, bro. Maybe it's time to hang up the boots for being a life of crime. Go home, be a family man.
Look, man, they announced today on Busted Open Radio that at Impact 1000 on September the 9th, that's when they're taping it, they're going to have the reunion of Team 3D. So Bully is going to have Devon with him. Devon, I don't think could take a bump because I'm pretty sure that he got a backiotomy like years ago. And
not a backiotomy.
Yeah, him and Randy Orton. I'm pretty sure he ain't taking bumps no more. So I don't think they could do a 3D. Maybe they can. I don't know. Devon also has two sons who are wrestling, who are their tag team. So he might take the kids and be like, you're gonna do the thing with Bully. Bully will set him up, whatever it is. But
Take your kids to work day.
yeah, take your kids to work day. But I'm looking forward to seeing Team 3D reunite, and maybe they'll do a 3D spot with PCO, or PCO will beat the shit out of Team 3D. Either way, there's a lot of opportunities. And someone in the chat saying Macklin's also at fault because there was Macklin and Bully who did the battery acid, lit him on fire. Moose was there too. I think Moose was there. Definitely.
No, it was just Macklin.
Macklin
it was just Macklin and Bully. They're the ones who dragged him outside. Moose was like, listen, I dabble, but not like that.
So either way, so regardless, I'm looking forward to what they do there with Impact 1000, but I'm also looking forward to what we do with PCO and Bully. That is something I'm okay with. You know why? Because those two are so inconsequential in the Impact landscape. That's not to demean any one of them. It's just that neither of them should be going for a championship right now. So let them have a blood feud with each other, and I will be more than entertained by that. Let's do that.
I don't disagree with that. I know we on this show give Bully Ray, Mr. Bulford Ray, a hard time. We give him a very hard time, and then we end up liking his matches. And I'm not even going to hold you. I like this tonight as well. Him just running away scared. This was an acting night. This is inside the Actors Guild.
It was a good night. It was a good episode of Impact. I do recommend it. It kind of flew by for me, which was nice. It was an easy watch, so I appreciate that. Couple weeks away from Emergence. You've got Multiverse coming up the week before that. Looking forward to it. So with that in mind, Cresta Star, where can the people find you on the internet and what you got going on?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I am allowed to solicit myself. All right.
Well, we're here, aren't we?
Yeah. If not Thursdays, definitely Fridays after these post shows, I have started, like I've said before, a Baldur's Gate Wrestlers run. I would love if you guys pulled up and tuned in. Right now, I'm Joe Hendry, who's a bard. We have Juice Robinson, who is a gnome druid. We have Jay Lethal, who is a monk, and we've got Bianca Belair, who's a cleric. It's for the memes. You guys are more than welcome to watch on my personal channels, and that's Cresta Star on TikTok and Twitch, which you could also find me watching wrestling on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays typically. Saturdays, I do the post show here, not with Joe Pearl, unfortunately, who's the bestest no matter what they may say about him. Joe Pearl and I are here on Thursdays, and on Saturdays, I'm with Rick Lucchino, Iridian, and Sean Ross. Sorry, my oven makes music now. And I was like, what does that sound?
I'm hearing it.
So that's my beep to let me know. Ding, fries are done. That's another old reference. It's just being old tonight. And that being said, if that was too much information, because I just rambled through that, Cresta the Star is my ex Yeeter Twitter, the @ formerly known as Twitter. You can find my link tree right in there. It has the playlist to all of these shows in case you miss anything with Joel Pearl and the post show. Joel Pearl, where can they find you? Because my brain is turning off.
Mine too. I am at Joel Pearl, JoelPearl. Go over to Fightful Overbooked. Check us out over there, youtube.com/Fightful Overbooked. We drop content every single day. Jeremy Lambert and I go in the weeds Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern till noon. And of course, on Fightful Select this week on the Friday, which is, now, I guess, I don't know. It's the 11th. When you get to the 11th, that's a Friday. Jeremy Lambert and I are going to be doing the Q&A this week. So just go watch it, okay? Just do the thing, okay? Go submit a question.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When is your title match against Steve Macklin? I'll take my answers off air. Thank you.
FightfulSelect.com. I'll answer the question if you ask it. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers. We got a super sticker. At the
last minute.
I can't show them, but I'm sure it's somewhere very beautiful on youtube.com/Fightful.
It is a pair doing the mic drop, and that's what we're about to do right now.
Perfect. We'll see you in the next one.